Hi everybody, welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 58. I am your host, and right across this tiny table from me is my co-host and teenage son Jackson. Say hello.
You don't need to know how big the table is. This could be like a dining room table.
Like the Batman dining room table. You don't know that reference.
I was thinking Richie Rich, but...
Right. Same idea.
Like
we're 50
table.
feet from each other.
Right.
Or 2 feet.
And we've
You
just
decide.
got such good equipment that it just sounds like we're across a tiny table.
Right. It's just a professional audio studio. Definitely not a random room in the basement.
It's definitely not an
Workout
Bowflex room.
Bowflex room, yeah. Bowflex moved out so we could do this.
I don't even remember what we have in here before the table was here. Wasn't there just a bunch of stuff?
Bunch of books and things.
That's what I
your mother's old work stuff, a bunch of our books. Yep, so now this is my favorite little space, right? I've turned it into a little makeshift studio. It's like, what, maybe 10 feet by 8 feet?
I turned it into a place where I put Kama.
Kama, the Supreme Fighting Machine.
Yes,
yeah.
daily.
And Walter.
I have Kama.
Well, welcome back if you're a returning listener. Welcome if you are new. Just quickly, because we're reaching the end of August, I was looking at the stats that I have access to. Looks like we got a bit of growth again, 39% as of today. So I know there's a couple days left in August, but thanks to anybody who's been sort of listening to the program. That's fantastic. I did put out my Ring of Honor 518 was out on Monday. And then we did a, SummerSlam and...
Yeah, we were going to review SmackDown.
No, we were not. SummerSlam and TakeOver 36, right? We covered that a couple days ago. So if you haven't listened to that already, it's up there. We'd appreciate the listens. Just to get our contact information out of the way, fnswrestling@gmail.com, fns_wrestling_podcast on Instagram, or leave a comment in YouTube. We will get back to you. One or both of us you will hear from, pretty much guaranteed. We'd love to hear any feedback or any questions people have. We can answer on the air if you'd like to send something in to us. So what's new in our lives as we banter here? You start high school on Monday. You ready? Kinda.
Sure, I guess.
You don't know, right? You'll find out when you get there.
Probably.
Good news is you found out you at least have friends in each of your 4 classes, right? I think you said
people
so.
I know.
That's better than nothing. Yeah, it should be fun. High school's a good time. It'll feel weird at first, but you'll get used to it really quickly, I think.
Yes, and I even know my gym teacher.
Yes, you do.
Who could it be?
I don't know. I heard he's amazing, though.
No, I heard he sucks.
He's beloved, and just a pillar of the community.
I heard everyone hates him because they don't like sports.
Maybe, that could be. But yeah, so that's what's coming up for us. The heat wave seems to have broken. It just seems kind of normal temperatures today. A little disappointing.
Daniel Bryan.
I love the heat. You did find a Daniel Bryan. Where were you going out for? Where were you?
Shoes.
Oh, to get shoes.
Some gym shoes.
Because it seems that you keep growing, so we keep having to go get new clothes and shoes and stuff. So if you could stop growing, or a little bit slower, would be
probably get
appreciated.
new Vans.
So if you could really focus on not growing for a little bit, that would be great. If you could just try hard.
But yeah, so we were at EV Games because we have like a Walmart or mall not too far from us.
Yep.
So and they just happen to have like a old Daniel Bryan Elite, not super old, but like it's Elite 68.
I was telling you, I think
now
EB Games, which I think for our American listeners is basically like GameStop. In fact, it might be under the umbrella of the same thing.
Some
maybe
GameStops in Canada, just not around us.
But I was telling you, it definitely feels like they're getting into more collectibles and things because people don't really buy physical video games anymore, right?
I still do, especially if they're older ones.
Well, yeah, for used games, that's still the place to go, right? But
right. Or if I'm pre-ordering a game.
Yeah, but it definitely, you can see
2K20.
The percentage of their shelves that is filling up with collectibles is growing for sure.
Video game people, their 2K22 has been confirmed for March 2022, which I don't really like because it's supposed to be like the whole thing is they would release 2K22 in 2021, so that's already out when it's 2022.
But
right? That's the whole point.
I think because they're revamping it quite thoroughly that they need more time or something because they can't afford to put out another crappy game. You can't do 2 in a row, right?
I spent $120 on that.
Exactly. So people will, hey, I don't know if you know this guy sitting across the table from you who always says, don't buy the new games right away. Wait a couple months.
I will never learn from that.
You will not, but wait a couple months. See what the word is.
The current game.
Yeah, exactly. They got you. So you're going to keep wasting $100 a year.
2K19 does not have Swerve.
Well, then you could create them or download them from somewhere. No,
I don't trust some people. Well, maybe I will, but
anyways, I don't know what
they look bad.
Anything else you wanted to talk about in this section where you can talk about whatever you want? Anything pressing in your life? Anything exciting? Not for me, really, but just getting ready to get to work. Nothing.
No. Yes, it was nice. You had 3 PA days, so I got to just do
Yeah.
nothing.
So Mom and I were
That was
working
fun.
from home for 3 days in a row, so that means we couldn't pay
I
as
got
much
to eat that
attention to you.
chicken sandwich again,
And
the
you
breakfast one.
snuck in some gaming time and some eating of the junk food, so you were
Yeah,
loving life. Good
if
for
you
you.
haven't tried the chicken egg McMuffin, it's really good. I
They,
don't like the egg, so I
they don't
don't
pay
get it with
us.
the egg, but
They're not
I
sponsoring the show.
still
Don't
get
give
it.
them any free plugs.
I can't get it now because it's like 11:30 at time recording, and
They do all day breakfast, but not the breakfast you
because I
like.
guess it says even on the wrapper that's promo, so
Yeah.
I don't know, but I like it.
Nice.
It's good.
Well, that's great. On that note, what do you say we start talking about some wrestling?
If McDonald's wanted to hire me, I would say yes.
That's funny because they will hire you. Don't worry. They
Yay.
hire tons and tons of people.
Oh, I either want to work at McDonald's or Walmart.
Nice, because those are your favorite places. So
Yeah.
interesting. All right,
Okay.
well, let's start talking about wrestling. We'll move into our first segment, which is looking at the week's news and rumors. Okay, ratings I like to do. I thought I'd start differently with ratings this week just because I think everybody is curious about the ratings for AEW's Rampage featuring. So the second ever Rampage, which of course featured, you may have heard about it, CM Punk's debut. So
You may have heard, but this is off chance.
that 1 hour show late on a Friday night drew 1.129 million viewers and a
That's
0.53 in the demographic. So that is the highest for AEW since the debut episode of Dynamite. Obviously, fantastic numbers. And of course, WWE's not paying attention because they're not competition, but yeah, they are, because that's a big number on a Friday night. So
Yeah.
very obviously they're super thrilled
Obviously,
with
like
that.
it was the hype and whatever, but like it worked.
I think
right?
Tony Khan is already on record saying this is one of the best sort of signings he's made in terms of an investment because it's already going to pay off, and the shirt sales they can't keep them in stock. I saw a thing that Pro Wrestling Tees has bought every ringer, the ones with the little bit around the edges, because that's how they do CM Punk shirts. So they've ordered all of the white ones they can find because the orders for these shirts are so high, right? So that's great for Rampage, great for AEW, great for CM Punk. And then just to move on into the ratings, Tuesdays, it was a taped post-takeover 36 edition of NXT.
It was taped?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Drew 685,000 viewers, which is up 4.7% from the week before, and earned a 0.16 in the key demographic, which was up 6.7%. So again, for me, I don't know why, but I seem to have that 700,000 threshold in my head as like you're doing okay. So they were close to it, a little bit below that. And then Wednesday's Live Dynamite, which again featured CM Punk. It was his first night appearing on Dynamite, his second appearance in AEW altogether. That drew 1.172 million viewers on TNT, up 21.2%. So that's obviously a significant rise, likely mostly due to CM Punk being there. Earned a 0.48 in the 18 to 49 demographic, up a pretty whopping 37.14%. And just to add in there, Dynamite ranked number 1 for the night on the cable top 150, and it was the third highest rating in Dynamite's history. So the numbers are still really impressive. Obviously, CM Punk is sort of moving the needle as we expected he would. So great
Definitely
ratings.
a worthwhile signing.
Great ratings for Dynamite. Solid ratings for NXT. What else? What do you have to talk about today?
So Roman Reigns will be. I have my figure right here actually.
Roman Reigns looking at you.
Roman Reigns is set to defend the Universal title against Finn Balor on next week's SmackDown. So that's kind of
in
cool.
a squash match, probably, I guess.
Balor seems to be just like this placeholder challenger, and like it kind of sucks because he was supposed to face Roman, and then Cena and Corbin put their dumb fat noses in that.
Right.
And it's now, and then we got Cena and Roman, and that was so good. It was so worth it. Definitely wouldn't rather watch Finn Balor, but
I feel like Finn Balor's at that level where Vince is like, yeah, the fans really like him, so we'll use him, but he's clearly not a main guy, so we'll, give them what they want every now and then and just sort of, whatever, hold him back. And whereas at NXT, his most recent run was my favorite Finn Balor version ever, when he was sort of just had figured out that heel character, I think, right? I loved it.
Turned into like the anti-hero kind of.
And I thought he wasn't capable of that, to be honest, but he was fantastic.
Yep.
So talking about NXT, since I mentioned it, apparently the trend of pre-recording the shows isn't going to be permanent. Apparently the CWC is being renovated, upgraded lighting, etc. And that's
for the upcoming changes.
right. So that's the reason they have to record a bunch right now, because they need to be out of the CWC so they can get that work done.
The Performance Center?
And then, I don't know, and then plans to return to live shows once the renovations are complete.
Right, because it was made known that the network is not a fan of taping shows, because that's not what they want.
There's some tweet about, or something about they didn't pay for recorded shows or something. So the good news for us is that it won't be pre-recorded, because I don't really love that, because I know you get spoiled. I don't get spoiled on anything, but I know you do. So you're going to know everything that happens before it's on, which is annoying. So, but it's bad news that the show will continue to be at that venue, because I think that venue is like 280 people or something. Like, it's tiny, right? So we're going to get
especially if we keep getting that plexiglass there.
And it's crazy just now because of the contrast of Dynamite, right? Where the fans it's in large arenas and stadiums, and the fans are rabid.
NXT was never that, but I feel like Full Sail was much better.
Full Sail was super fun. I thought it was a perfect size venue for what it was.
Full Sail was much better than that.
Because it felt like they call it the super indie show at that time, right? And it felt like an indie crowd that were just into whatever was going on. So I miss it, but at least it won't be taped going forward.
Yeah.
What do you have?
Positive. Speaking of NXT, keep the train going.
Nice.
A new NXT logo has been revealed.
You showed me
and
last
possible
night.
theme song, and it is gross. If you were worried about the changes to come, well, you should be worried about them now. If you haven't seen this logo, I implore you to go to the NXT Instagram and check it out, because it is horrendous. It looks like they hosted a fan contest and someone just splattered paint all over an NXT logo.
It's like a tie-dye or multicolored logo now. The black and gold
really
seems to be gone.
Yeah, like NXT is supposed to be a black and gold brand. It doesn't capture NXT at all to me. Even if it wasn't black and gold, it just doesn't.
I think that's a sign of them moving. This is not a brand anymore.
This looks like
right? It's just developmental.
It feels like a NXT logo they would have used maybe for like, I don't know, like something like Pride Month or something. Like it's got like.
Yeah, that could be. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to be inclusive, which would be cool. But I doubt that was the initial goal.
This is just.
I think it's more coincidence than anything.
I think Wale, I think does Big E's theme.
Yeah.
I think he was also involved. So I think they revealed the theme, but I couldn't find it.
I mean, I don't care that much. You clearly are more attached to the original
ugly.
logo. I just don't care. I won't. It's a logo. Who cares?
It's really ugly.
I don't spend a lot of time.
You have to see it every week.
But do I though?
Yes.
I don't really go notice the logo every week.
But it's ugly.
Anyways,
it's
I don't
really ugly.
I don't think it's great, but I can't care that much about the logo.
It's so ugly.
Anyways, reported again NXT. Basically, the WWE is not interested in signing indie wrestlers anymore. The report stated that multiple WWE sources have said that word from the top of the company is they're not interested in indie talent as far as, quote, scouting and such goes right now. So basically, the AEW can have all of the indie talent to itself. So I don't know. Again, that might be more under the rumors category. I'm not really sure, but...
No, that makes sense, because they are obsessed with making everyone suck.
They want athletes. Well, I saw a little thing yesterday, Jeff Cobb talking about his tryout with WWE, and he claims that he saw a clipboard and they had divided all of the people into two columns that were athletes and indie workers, and he was put under the indie worker column despite being an Olympic athlete, right? So he thought that was a little bit strange, but
yeah. And this is just stupid. It means we're gonna get no one good, because they will be embedded with the
I think if there's still an indie talent that is super major, they may still go after them, right? If they see money in somebody, they'll break that rule.
There's going to be but I think it's like as a general thing, they're not going to be like
they're not seeking them. They're
talent hoarding.
Like, so when they say they're not going to be scouting them, that means if one falls in their lap or they hear about it, then maybe, but they're not actively going out and looking on indies
and they're also
for anybody.
Not like just taking anybody. They're also not like, they're not gonna like be recruiting these people to PC and hordes,
right?
Like,
no. So that's like, because before I think they were, again, Dynamite's not competition, but they were just trying to sign anybody so that AEW couldn't, it felt like.
So that they were bad competition.
And then they just released them all later. Anything else for you?
So AEW Dark is reportedly being taped at Universal Studios, and I believe that's Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something similar to like the Impact Zone used to be.
Right.
Which was a cool venue, but the crowd was, I think I've told you before,
I think that's the same spot.
The crowd sometimes wasn't even wrestling fans, because they would just get people that were at the park. It was free to come in. So sometimes if it's like in Florida and it's a scorching hot day, people are like, okay, let's go into the air conditioning, right? And see whatever this is. So it was an okay venue, but sometimes the crowds were not filled with wrestling fans necessarily.
Mm-hmm. And AEW All Out is to air in movie theaters, similar to SummerSlam.
I don't think in Canada, but in the States, I think. I haven't seen anything about it happening in Canada, and apparently they are still planning on doing it despite COVID numbers rising in the States. So far, they're still going to sort of have it in some theaters.
Yeah. And last one, and also AEW related, is Daniel Bryan's AEW debut has reportedly been moved forward.
Oh, I have that one too, yes. That he was supposed to debut at the Grand Slam episode of Dynamite, which is weeks after All Out, but the decision's made to move him up because of the rising numbers in COVID, so they want a crowd reaction, obviously, right? So if there's fear of we're going back to empty arenas or tiny crowds or something, they want to get that pop out while they have full crowds,
see him
which
coming
makes
out
sense.
At All Out or something, I could see that.
That's what they're saying. Possible. It will be at All Out.
That would be cool.
Yep. I would file this under bad news. Paul White believes that his match with Shaq will happen in AEW. Directly from an interview with White, I think that will happen now because there is not as much red tape. He's already competed with Cody Rhodes. It was him and Jade Cargill versus Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet.
Yes,
that was an incredible showing for Shaq.
No, it was not.
It was pretty solid. So hopefully we'll be able to cut some red tape and make it happen. Nothing I want to see.
Shaq was bad. Paul
he wasn't
White
bad, dude. He's a non-wrestler.
Exactly, but he shouldn't be there.
Okay.
It was bad.
Okay.
And I don't have any desire to see Paul White.
I feel that Shaq's performance was very okay for his level of experience. Do I want to see Shaq Paul White? No.
Paul White's old, Shaq's old. Shaq's not a wrestler, and Paul White's old.
Okay, but they book based on will people watch this and will it make us money? They don't sit down and go, will Jackson like this? So for them, it might make sense, right? There's also rampant speculation that Braun Strowman will be heading towards Impact Wrestling. He put in a tweet, what was it? Remember, in life, you're going to do something. Make sure you make an impact. Carve your name in stone. #Titan. So the speculation is he shows up at Impact Wrestling. His name is Titan or something to do with that.
I think that's a really bad name.
I don't love the signing. I'm not a big Braun Strowman fan. But again, they're not worried about what I feel. I guess they think that this will get eyes on the program. It is a major name from WWE, and sometimes they do tend to like that. So it's not something I want, but maybe it's good for Impact. I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's all I have for news. Do you have anything else?
No.
All right. Well, that will bring us to the end of news and move us into looking at our first weekly wrestling show, and that is NXT. So the first thing we see on NXT this week is the $1 million limo pulling into the parking lot.
Is that what it's called?
I think, well, that's what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's what it is called, but Grimes gets out in a flashy vest carrying the belt with DiBiase alongside. They are laughing and heading into the building before commentary then recap the LA Knight and Grimes match from TakeOver 36, where Grimes won the $1 million belt in the opener. So we're hoping that maybe that belt goes away, but we'll find out on this show, I guess. So Grimes makes his entrance, now holding the belt over his head. Before he and DiBiase get in the ring, Grimes engages with the crowd a little bit, and DiBiase speaks first. He says that everyone wondered what he was doing and what he was here to buy when he showed up in NXT. He says he was looking for a man to continue the legacy of the $1 Million Man, and that person had to be strong in body, mind, and heart. Grimes is not a quitter and showed that
Knight's
heart.
Strong in heart, just not the kind of heart he was looking for.
Who's strong of heart?
Knight. He's
just the wrong heart.
Yeah.
A black heart, if you will.
Yeah, and DiBiase should be fine with that of all people, but I mean, hey,
because he was a famous, notorious heel, right? Like the whole time. So so
here we are.
So that heart has what's led Cameron to being the $1 Million champion. Grimes then says that Ted drove him nuts when he first got there. Ted then says he did it on purpose. He was testing Cameron Grimes. Grimes says he was blinded by all the money and fame, and he was still missing an accomplishment. What inspired him recently was Ted putting his trust in him. He took that trust, and it helped to beat LA Knight and become the $1 Million champion.
So let me get this straight. The trust of a retired old man is
all it takes.
Helping you win.
That's right.
So let me get
That's why Darby
Allin
are
wins. We implying that
I'm not implying it. They might be.
No, so are they implying that, right, so in the first match, DiBiase didn't care, because obviously, like, it was just for the title.
Right.
But then Knight turned on him, and then Grimes also put in the Butler stipulation for their second match. So you're saying DiBiase didn't put his trust in him then?
I guess not. It was all a test. I don't know.
So he'd let Grimes become a Butler?
Right, as part of the test to see if he had heart to battle through it. And deal with it and be a man of his word. I don't know. I'm making things up a little bit. But
was that the furnace in the background? Yes. It went off for a second. It's like, I'm used to that. Kind of the background. Running. Like, it's not like silence, but then when there's actually silence, I'm just like.
But I don't think it comes through on the pod because I've checked. So I got my noise gates on. It should sound good, hopefully. The question is, Grimes says, where do they go now? Ted says it's time to go to the moon. And cannons shoot off with Cameron Grimes' bucks floating over top of the crowd.
That line's not exactly helpful.
No, I don't know. I love Grimes, but I don't know if that catchphrase is.
I like it.
It's kind of over with the people there, so.
It's getting a little much, and then also like, it just doesn't explain anything in this specific, case.
Right. What did you think of this opening segment?
So I thought it was fine. I thought the promo work was fine or whatever, but I really didn't. Make it super clear what the next step is.
Right.
Which I feel like they should have done. I hope the title just either goes away or just becomes kind of a prop for Grimes and maybe a reminder.
Yes. But like, not actively defended.
Right. But like it can be like if he needs to believe himself, like he can be like, I'm a champion, even though he's not really.
Yeah.
It was fine. Not really an ideal start to the show, and it'll probably get worse, I think.
I didn't mind this. It kind of, hopefully, they're putting a bow on the Grimes Knight story, right? And it's reintroducing Grimes to the crowd, more like as the guy they grew to love, and not so much this character that got wrapped up with LA Knight. I feel like.
Yeah.
He got a good reaction from the crowd, and I thought the segment was fine. I think
he'll be a good babyface moving forward, but I really want him as a heel because I thought he was so good as a heel.
He is good. And like you, I don't think I would have opened the show with this if it were up to me, but I don't think it was bad anyways. It was fine. We then get some TakeOver 36 highlights. Kaylee Ray arriving, Dragunov winning a brutal match for the NXT UK title. Brutal, not as in bad, as in just hard hitting, I guess. O'Reilly defeated...
Oh, no, yeah, it sucked.
O'Reilly defeated Cole, and Joe wins the NXT Championship for the third time. We then move into our opening match, I guess technically, and it's Ridge Holland with Pete Dunne versus Timothy Thatcher with Tommaso Ciampa. So I have a feeling Holland's a guy we're going to see a lot of going forward, so let's see what we get out of this.
Which sucks because I don't like him at all.
We go to commercial after the entrances, and when we come back, we get a Hit Row is shown sort of arriving to the building.
Because, of course, the match isn't next.
Of course not. Getting out of their vehicles, walking to the arena as Beth hypes their match later tonight. So this match between Holland and Thatcher finally starts with strikes and uppercuts before Thatcher takes down Holland and goes for a leg. The one that was recently injured, I assume. I didn't really double check, but I would guess it's Thatcher and he would do that. Forearm by Holland, he body slams Thatcher into the ropes. Thatcher keeps trying to get that leg again, but Holland keeps fighting him off with clubbing blows and a back elbow. We get a belly to belly by Thatcher and he tries to get a hold on, but he can't. So he hits a knee and then a forearm. Suplex by Holland as he's now selling his left elbow. Thatcher can't quite apply a Kimura, so he lands an uppercut, but Holland flattens him with a big clothesline. We get a jumping kick by Thatcher, and he slams Holland into the ropes this time, sort of as payback, I guess. We get a half crab
it's kind of like a body slam where they're with their legs kind of hitting the ropes.
Right.
And I don't know, it's a fine move, but like I feel like it's more for targeting the legs.
Yeah, and it adds something to a body slam because they're pretty lame at this point. They were big in the 80s, but they're not so big now.
Especially with Hogan and
all
Andre.
Of that group, yes. We get a half crab by Thatcher. Holland fights out of it. Headbutt, and Holland hits his finisher. I don't know what it's called, but the match is over. He gets the win here. Ciampa then comes in and gets involved and clears the ring. Lorcan and a returning, ready for this big return? Danny Burch.
Oh my god.
They attack Tommaso Ciampa, and the numbers game get him. Holland headbutts him and stands tall. As Holland goes to get his hat, Thatcher, I guess, has recovered, and he attacks again.
How dare you? It is a beret. Okay.
It's not a beret.
It's not a beret?
It's not what that's called. No.
What is it?
I don't know. You keep calling it a beret, and I keep saying it's not a beret, but I don't know what it's called.
I don't remember you saying
Google image a beret right now, and you'll see.
Like a beret.
Dunn distracts Thatcher for a second, and Holland attacks with his truncheon, which I learned that's the correct word from people from the UK. Until Dunn gets him to stop.
It still looks similar to a beret.
So Dunn sort of has to get Holland to pull him off the attack, and eventually he leads him up the ramp and away to safety. What did you think of this?
For the first match we got on the show, it was not good. I would basically call this the opener of the show. It's basically the opener.
It's the opening match, right? If you can say that safely.
I would call it the opener. It was not what I would expect or want from an opener. Thatcher's good. He did the best he could. But Holland is basically the equivalent of carrying Cross with less character. Hardly any of his offense looks that good, and his finisher is crap. Not to mention some of his stupid choices for entrance gear and his awful theme. I couldn't care less about Danny Burch returning. This may have been the most underwhelming return of all time, and I feel really bad for Pete Dunne. He is stuck with perhaps the worst faction roster of all time. Lorcan and Burch are good in the ring.
All time, wow.
And they've had some good matches, one of which we watched recently, but they could not be more boring other than in matches, and they're generally low card, right? Other than the one title run they've gotten recently. They're pretty low card, and Ridge Holland sucks. So Pete Dunne needs to get out of this. And remember, he was looking really good after Takeover in Your House in that multi-man match?
Yeah, he looked amazing. We thought, oh man, they're priming him for a title run.
And then in comes Ridge Holland.
And he's making eyes at Walter, or Samoa Joe.
Joe and Walter.
Yep. So.
And then we just fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I don't think Holland is bad. Like, I don't see him making a lot of mistakes. He's just not very interesting to watch at this point. And I think Thatcher tried his best, right? But the formula was clearly Thatcher attacks a body part, Holland sort of powers out. It was kind of repeating of that, right? There were literally a couple times during this at taking notes where I took the note before what happened. Like, that's how predictable the routine sort of got. That being said, it wasn't horrible. I think it was probably Holland's best match, I think, in NXT. I think that's pretty safe to say. Mm-hmm. And I think, like I said, we can expect this kind of thing in NXT going forward, it sounds like. Some of the veterans are going to have to carry inexperienced guys and ultimately put them over, right? You can't have all young green people who aren't professional wrestlers.
Right.
You have to have some wrestlers there that know what they're doing to hopefully make these guys look good and eventually lose to them probably. So, and if this becomes all of what NXT is about, then I'm going to have a problem. But as long as they keep some hot feuds and matches mixed in with these sort of developmental things, I can deal with a bit of this type of match. I think Holland is just okay. He's not really exciting so far, and I also feel badly for Pete Dunne a little bit. Maybe his star has fallen, but we do see more of him in this show, right?
Because Pete Dunne's awesome.
Yeah, but we see maybe it's not as bad as we think. I think later in this show, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, a little
Going
bit.
by my memory.
We do, but yeah, I don't know how much.
Yeah. We then get Arash Markazi speaking to Carmelo Hayes.
That's his name. I hate him.
Why?
I'll explain later.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't like him.
There you go. Speaks to Carmelo Hayes ahead of his breakout tournament finals match. So he talks about facing bigger opponents in all of his matches leading up to this one, and that this is basically no different. People always call him an underdog, but he never saw that. He's the overdog. Haha. It took hard work and perseverance to get to this spot. And then Arash notes that Hayes is facing another large man in Odyssey. And Hayes, a little bit here, tries to put Jones over, says that Odyssey's strength is actually his speed for being a man of his size, which I don't really feel we've seen showcased, but we keep being told that, right? That this guy has unbelievable athleticism for his 400 pounds. I haven't seen it, but anyways, we'll take their word for it.
Even his power moves are like, bleh.
Okay. Nothing great, I agree. Hayes will take things one match at a time, and he's not getting ahead of himself, but you'll see him in NXT soon with championship gold.
I hope so.
Thoughts?
I thought he spoke well, but I thought all the questions were pretty standard. Mm-hmm. And I don't really like this interviewer guy.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. He's been on a few times, and I just don't love him.
So I like this. I think Hayes seems pretty comfortable speaking. I don't know where he came from or how much experience he has, but he seems comfortable doing promos.
He was Christian Casanova, I think, on the indies, so he's an indie guy.
And there was a little bit of a quieter confidence here, not quite as brash and loud as he has been before. So I've liked what I've seen from him both inside the ring and out. He might be, like, for me, the lone bright spot of this fairly dim tournament, right? Like, I haven't really been excited about anything other than before it started. I was excited.
We had seen him in a couple of good matches prior to this tournament, because this tournament has been
lackluster.
Very lackluster. Yeah, to say the least.
Boring, almost.
Yeah, no, right? For sure.
So Beth Phoenix recaps Indy Hartwell's marriage proposal to Dexter Lumis last week. She had goosebumps and says Index is official.
Wasn't it official, like, after... like on the first date or whatever. I guess because now they're married.
First rule is don't ask follow-up questions talking about Index because we're just moving on. Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. You're allowed.
Yeah. Yay, a wedding date. Who cares? I don't care. And Beth Phoenix on commentary makes everything worse, especially this.
Yeah, she's. And I mean, it's obviously not her choice to be so involved in this. They've asked her to, but it is kind of annoying.
No, and I just think she makes everything worse.
So Mackenzie Mitchell then it congratulates Mitchell congratulates Dexter and Indy on their engagement. Hartwell says they really like their dates and the chicken fingers that one time. She sort of lists the dates.
I don't know why she keeps going on about chicken fingers.
Remember, she listed the dates, and I was like, they're missing opportunities to put some skits out that might be funny. But anyways,
I know I've had enough skits for this.
True.
Actually,
Mackenzie asks if they have a wedding date, and Loomis gives Mackenzie an invitation, and it's September 14th, 2021. Beth Phoenix continues to just seem like a fangirl, to use a word from the youth, over this Index thing, and they cut back to the commentary table. What did you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't really care. It's just, at this point, I don't like it.
It's one of the worst parts of this for me is how the commentators are forced to talk about it, specifically Beth and Wade Barrett, because Joseph seems like he tries to stay out of it, but it's one of those WWE things, right?
Beth likes it too much, Wade hates it too much.
Right, and they're clearly giving it, they get more fired up about this than basically anything else going on. And it's
like the world titles.
And it's a comedy, non-wrestling thing, right? So it's kind of annoying to me. We then get a tag team match from the women's division. Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter facing sort of the newly formed squad, I guess, of Gigi Dolan and JC Jane in this one.
Yep.
So I told you when I wrote this down. So Dolan and Jane make their entrance, and they're kind of like dark and wearing like, I don't know if it's gothic stuff, but anyways, like
kind of. Like something along those lines. I think that's fair.
And just off of the entrance, to me, it feels like Dolan chose that look and that Jane was forced to adopt that look. Like, it looks like Dolan's really comfortable like that, and that's how she would choose to look.
I think it's similar to what she's been doing on the Indies, right?
And Jane, they're like, listen, you need to kind of match her because you're going to be a tag team. And she's like, okay, I'll try it. But she didn't look super comfortable. But anyways.
Like, she wants to do it, but she just doesn't fit
It's new to her, yeah. Fast action to start this one. Catanzaro and Carter fake a dive to the outside. We get a sneak attack by Dolan to get control of Catanzaro. Assisted Bronco Buster by Dolan, which they could cut from the repertoire if they want, as far as I'm concerned. And then a nice cannonball, though, by JC Jane after. The heels then isolate Casey in their half of the ring and tag in and out. Clothesline by Jane with Dolan behind to trip Catanzaro. We get a hot tag to Carter finally. She dominates both of the heels, I want to say. Hits a drop kick and a face wash kick to Dolan for 2. Dolan Irish whips Carter into a nice JC Jane pump kick. The pin is then broken up somehow, and Catanzaro and Carter just kind of out of nowhere hit their 450 neckbreaker combo move for the win. Carter and Catanzaro go to the commentary table, and you can hear them yelling about wanting Io and Zoe Stark.
That'd be a solid match.
What'd you think? It could be. I mean, there's only so many tag teams.
They had the one good match against
I was
Raquel and Dakota.
Pretty much blown away by that match. They were.
I feel like they haven't really.
It's like the stars aligned and everything was perfect for that match, sort of.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was a decent match, but I don't think either team did anything super great or of note. The finish was lame, as it felt like Dolan made no effort to stop the pin.
Agree.
I swear I saw her standing on the apron, and then it was just over. And after both of them got vignettes and Dolan got a win, they were subjected to a loss this quick. I think that kind of sucks.
It's because they need the help that's coming for them, right? Later in the show.
And technically this is JC Jane's debut, at least in the gimmick, and she lost. Don't have much faith for them as this, after this, as I also still don't really fully understand what the character is. Like, it hasn't been properly defined. I don't think it's something like dark or gothy or whatever, but like...
That might be all we get.
Right. Which I need more than that.
I agree. So considering who was involved with this, I was actually pretty impressed with this match. I thought there was a chance, right, that this could have just been a mess because I don't know much about Jane. And I find
just based on looks, not to be that person, but like she doesn't seem like the person who would be great at wrestling, just historically speaking.
And I find Catanzaro and Carter are kind of inconsistent, right? Like some matches they're great, and then the others there's a bit of sloppiness. But so the finish I thought was questionable too, because the heels had control for so long, and then boom, finisher by Catanzaro and Carter. And Dolan, you're right, stood on the apron, made no attempt to break anything up. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, but Kaden Carter, a little bit late, she tried to run over like she intended to knock Dolan off the apron. So I don't know if she was just late getting there, and maybe it was her fault because she was supposed to be there to do it. But
Right.
it did end up looking a little bit odd to me. Otherwise, I don't think it was a bad like middle of the show match. And it's kind of establishing Jane and Dolan as heels and a tag team, and I guess, and giving Catanzaro and Carter a win as they sort of continue to improve as a team. And if they're looking for a title shot, they kind of need to get some wins, I guess, strung along here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mackenzie then interviews Raquel on her match against Dakota Kai. Raquel says Kai took her to the limit and that she doesn't think Kai is done going after the NXT women's title. I hope not, which would mean that Kai is still staying in NXT, which is what I want. Mackenzie then asks Raquel about Kaylee Ray showing up, and Raquel says she knows all about Ray and her title reign in NXT UK. At TakeOver, Kaylee Ray tried to take Raquel's spotlight. Frankie Monet then interrupts, with Jessie Kamei and Robert Stone, obviously. Monet says she doesn't wait in line and is coming after the NXT women's title, and then she just turns and walks away. Thoughts, sir?
So she said she doesn't think things with Kai are over. I hope she's right, because I would like for them to have another go, because I feel like the match
Kai is the workhorse of that division, man.
Didn't
so
deliver.
She deserves some reward.
It seems she'll be facing Monet next, which should be good, but oddly enough, I'm not thrilled. I did say I want better for Monet, but after all this crap they've been putting her in with the Robert Stone brand, they've actually done a good job at making me not really care about her anymore, which kind of sucks. And they're also making her less credible by associating her with Jessie Kamea. But hopefully a feud like this can rejuvenate her, but we'll see as it progresses.
Yeah, this is the Frankie Monet I prefer. She's giving attitude, getting involved in feuds with people at the top of the card that matter rather than at the bottom with people that I'm not sure what was going on there. I do fear, though, that this is like she's one of those lesser challengers until they build the next real challenger. You know what I mean? It's like this sort of holdover until we get the next big feud cooking.
Right.
But even if that's what it is, it's still better than what she's been doing significantly, right? So I thought Raquel is doing a fine job as the babyface champion who will take on all challengers. She did well here. I had no problem with this, really.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get a brief Kaylee Ray video with her talking about taking over NXT or something like that. Anyways, I think she's awesome. I hope she does well. She's capable of really, really good matches. I don't know if the listeners have seen much of her, but she is pretty fantastic.
She has some good ones. And I do like her because she was the one who took the title from Toni Storm.
She did. She's awesome. So we then have another Arash Markazi interview.
Yay!
Yes. And this one is with who? Odyssey Jones, of course, because it's back to the breakout tournament.
Even better.
So Jones says that this is the biggest night of his career. And he's then asked about how he's so positive all the time. And Odyssey says he turns negatives into positives. He talks about joining WWE after college football, of course, and he feels we're seeing a more complete Odyssey after he took off the football helmet. His game plan is the same plan he has every night, to be the best man he can be. He's not looking past Hayes, and Hayes will be the toughest opponent yet. What'd you think? Loved it.
So the interviewer guy, or the journalist guy, I guess he is.
Yeah.
He literally started with the same question, and so I think he kind of sucks. Something about his voice and just, I think the way he speaks, it's just, I don't know, it doesn't work for me.
I don't even know that. I don't even remember.
When he's delivering a question, I don't know, it just doesn't sound like serious, and I don't know, it just doesn't work. I feel like they should stick to one of their people.
Right. I don't feel there's any need for any outside help,
right.
But maybe they're trying to legitimize things a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
He's not helping.
No.
Jones spoke fine, I guess. At least he wasn't too over the top energetic and yelling again.
Right.
And so I guess his gimmick is the hype positivity guy. And so is he essentially just like a happy to be here guy?
I don't know.
That's
just loves to have fun
seems.
because that's the kiss of
right,
death.
That sucks. Or he's like a less fast Mojo Rawley, because like the hype positivity thing, that was like Mojo Rawley, and
right.
That was the Hype Bros.
Yep.
Either way, I still don't like him. This really did nothing for him and did nothing for me.
I thought he sounded pretty natural. I was impressed by his delivery and his speaking. But here's the thing. Once this guy gets on main roster, they won't be having him do a realistic, serious sit-down like this, right? He'll be doing some over-the-top cartoonish thing designed to sell merchandise and attract children. So
this is not helping.
They can call this developmental, but to me, promos like this, which I actually think he did a good job, this isn't really developing anything he's going to use on main roster, because this was sort of felt like
they
a realistic
literally say like
thing.
NXT beats the India to guys, and then main roster beats the NXT to them. So like, is it really developing them for anything? It's just developing the indie out of them.
I guess. I guess all the practice he can get on the mic is good, but this isn't the tone of things on main roster,
Right.
especially if he's the way it looks like they're going to position him. But anyways, I thought he did a fine job here. So we get a debut match for Kaylee Ray in NXT. She's facing Valentina Feroz. Is this the woman that had all the feathers and the... Is that what it was? Yes, right. So Kaylee Ray, I thought, kind of gets the star treatment with her entrance. Looked really good, and I'm really glad to see that, because she's, again, one of my favorite women wrestlers, probably.
Mine's still Shayna Baszler, but they won't push her because they're stupid.
I will go out on a limb and say Kaylee Ray's the best women's wrestler that you haven't seen, if people haven't seen her, because I don't feel like a lot of people have. We get aggressive strikes and an armbar attempts before a front suplex by Kaylee Ray. And Feroz in the middle of the match is losing feathers, which I thought was kind of funny. She gets in a brief flurry, then a super kick and the gory bomb by Kaylee Ray, and it's over. What'd you think of this squash match?
Gory bomb's pretty nice. First off, just as a note, I thought Kaylee Ray's entrance looked great. They had me at the laser lights, which I think that's cool.
Yep.
But the way the Tron turned on was cool. It just kind of just turned on, like, kind of spread across.
And if her theme came on the radio, I would hate it. But as a wrestling theme, and for her, I like it.
I think it sounds good.
Me too.
And her theme is good. It kind of reminds me of Buddy Murphy's.
Agreed. It's kind of that dubstep or whatever.
I miss Buddy Murphy.
I thought this exact same
I thought
thing.
it was a solid squash. I thought she looked good in her NXT debut. I heard she's a member of the roster full time now, so it looks like she'll be sticking around, which is good and good for her.
Yep. Yeah, simple squash to introduce Ray to the NXT US crowd. Showcased her aggression, which is her greatest strength. It stands out to me every time. Her stuff just looks a little more ferocious than everybody else.
Isn't she the person who does the thing who swings them around on the apron and forearms them? Is
yeah,
that
I think
her
so.
move? Yeah.
She reminds me a bit of Benoit in that regard, or Pac, like where everything's just a little bit more aggressive. But I didn't think this was anything special. We got to see her signature moves, and she hit her finisher, and away we go. So Samoa Joe's walking through the parking lot with the championship over his shoulder, heading to a commercial. And then when we come back, I have the cameraman ? Because it was just sort of a disembodied voice from the distance, right? Asking JC Jane and Gigi Dolan how they feel after their loss.
You didn't even see them, and just the audio kind of did sound like the cameraman.
Yeah, it sounded like just the camera mic was picking up.
If I had to guess, I would probably say that it was the cameraman.
They ignore the question and just sort of walk away. And then good old Mandy Rose walks up and tells them...
I still don't know how she got here. It's like they traded for the lead. I still don't get it.
She tells them to follow her, and they will never have to feel like this again. So they're never going to lose again, I guess. What'd you think?
Yeah, because Mandy Rose knows a lot about never losing. I at the time, I remember I wrote, damn it, we were just talking about how Mandy hasn't done anything. And I guess it's all downhill from here for Dolan and Jane.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, no, I can almost guarantee it.
So Mandy's getting involved more, I guess. I'm willing to see where it goes. On paper, it doesn't feel like these three fit, right? Dolan and Jane are now doing some sort of, like we said, dark gothic thing. And Mandy Rose has never been about anything close to that. Then again, that combination could be interesting, right? I don't know. So we'll see. I'm not as down on Mandy Rose as you. I wouldn't say I'm a fan or think she's very good, but maybe she needs further development, right? So that's why she's here. We'll see what happens. Samoa Joe then comes to the ring to speak to us, and he says that at TakeOver 36, he stood across the ring from the most dominant champion NXT history. Pardon? He's calling Cross the most dominant champion in NXT history, and I am saying pardon.
Yeah,
but anyways.
I know. And I was even saying, objectively speaking, that is Adam Cole. Not because he's my favorite, but because he's the longest reigning. So technically speaking, he would be the most dominant, yes?
I guess. I don't know.
He was holding it for the most amount of days, so I guess he would have.
I mean, that would be one metric to use for sure. You might say, like, I want to know how dominant his matches are and blah, blah, blah. But anyways. So he says, then beat him up and became the first 3-time NXT champion. He says tonight should be for celebration, and he didn't. But he didn't come to celebrate because he knows that being NXT champion is being king in a land of savages, and there's no time to celebrate. He says he noticed when he arrived that the tension was a bit more palpable. The handshakes were a little bit colder. He calls out to the locker room for one person with the guts to come out and face him. And we get Pete Dunne's music hits, and he slowly walks down to the ring. He says that Joe's known him long enough to know the truth. He doesn't care how many times Joe's held the title. He's not the toughest man around here. He tells Joe to go into the back, find Regal, and make the match, and don't make him provoke. And then basically LA Knight comes out next, as everyone wants to, sort of like if Joe's given an open challenge, a few guys want a piece of this, I guess. So he says it's nighttime, which is the right time every day. He says those chills Joe has going down his spine is fear, and what Joe's looking at is title or not, the $1 million megastar. So I'm hoping he's not clinging to that name without the belt now, but it seems like it.
Right.
Anyways, he says that it took Joe all night to take out a guy he could have destroyed in 43 seconds, and he's out here to be Joe's first challenge and thus his last one. Is the 43 seconds a reference to Hardy match? Is that how long that one was?
No, because that's less than a minute, and I think it was
Is
like
a minute
over
something?
than a minute.
I was wondering if that's what it was. Anyways, he goes to get into the ring, and Dunn says if he does, he'll break his fingers. Kyle O'Reilly comes down next, says, Samoa Joseph, Peter Dune, we know each other well enough.
That was good.
But he doesn't know LA Knight, so he's going to introduce himself.
He called him La Knight.
La Knight, right. And he's going to introduce himself and says Knight's only chance of winning anything is a Steve Austin Vest knockoff competition. Which, I don't know, kind of amusing, I guess.
I did like at least that it's a nod to that he's kind of ripping off Austin and Rock.
He sure is. He's like a combo of both of them.
Which, so I like it wasn't the best line, but at least it's kind of acknowledging that a bit.
He says he respects Joe and isn't out here to talk his way into a title match because he's earned, and then Ridge Holland attacks O'Reilly. Meanwhile, Dunn faces off with Joe. He gets attacked by Ciampa. Holland comes down and attacks Ciampa. While Knight tries to cheap shot Joe, he gets taken down. Joe stands tall in the ring, stares off with Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland, who slowly back away. Thoughts about this chaotic situation?
I thought Joe and Dunn both cut some good promos, and I really hope this is the direction they're headed in. But I would also be down for Joe O'Reilly, just that'd be a solid babyface match.
Not so much Joe Knight, but
oh no, that's the one I don't want.
Right.
The only one I don't need is Joe versus Knight. Knight's promo standard and Kyle's was fine. Overall, a fine setting, but hopefully they clarify the future of the title scene later on. I would like a 3-way, which is won by Dunn, and we get Dunn versus Joe in the near future.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot going on in this segment. Maybe a setup for another multi-man match, or just some kind of reset, right? Where they're kind of, now that Cross is out of the way, they're trying to let us know who's at the top of the card, make it clear to the fans, I guess. I honestly don't know what to think of this. There was a lot.
I think there's clearly, sorry not to cut you off.
Okay.
There's clearly one person who doesn't belong here.
Yes.
You can definitely tell who's the odd man out. L.A. Knight. Yeah.
There was a lot to process here. I guess we'll see where it goes. It wasn't a short segment, but I think the amount of time given to each guy was reasonable. It's not like one guy talked for far too long.
The only thing that annoys me is just such a trope that, like, this guy comes to speak, and then this guy comes to speak.
I mean, if the champion says who's got the courage to come out here, it makes it. I prefer, like, 3 guys coming out to when a champion does that and one person comes out. Because in real life, if you say to the locker room, it's an open chat, like, there's going to be dudes running out there, you know what I mean? So I'm okay with a few coming out. I thought everybody involved did a pretty good job here.
Yeah.
Grimes and DiBiase walk outside, and they talk about what a ride it's been. DiBiase says all good things come to an end. Yes, please. And Grimes says he's thought about it a lot and says the $1 million belt is Ted's legacy. So he hands it over to DiBiase because they listen to FNS Wrestling Podcast. I fantasy booked this, and it seems to be happening. DiBiase says no, hands it back, and then I think, oh, they're trolling me. But it turns out that it's a replica, as
so
Grimes
are we meant to
noticed.
believe he just got a replica title sitting in the limo?
Yeah, because he's got this all planned. He's a mastermind. He laughs maniacally and drives off, and Grimes shakes his head with a smile and does that line that he was doing early in these.
But now it's like, he respects him.
That damn DiBiase.
So I guess this means $1 million title's done.
Woohoo!
I'm fine with that, but this is way too back and forth. Should have just been Grimes giving him the belt, and he accepts it. Is it weird that I kind of miss it now?
The belt?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks.
You like what you like,
cool.
man.
I don't really like it. I think it's dumb having a fictional title, but I just think it looks nice.
I think we don't need a fictional title. We don't need a third singles title on this show.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it looks nice, so I like seeing it.
I'm obviously happy because looks like exactly what I wanted to happen, right? The belt and DiBiase gone, and Grimes can move on. And if that's the case, great segment. If it's what I want,
right,
turns out what I want, then I liked it. We get a brief vignette previewing the NXT Breakout Tournament finale, which is up next. But instead, what's really up next is Mackenzie asking Kyle O'Reilly about being attacked by Ridge Holland. When Duke Hudson walks up randomly and sort of quickly mocks Kyle as he walks by, Kyle immediately attacks him, gets slammed into the lockers, then attacks again, and security sort of have to show up and break them up. What'd you think of this sudden, obviously new direction for Kyle?
I just really... O'Reilly went from beating Adam Cole and being a segment involving the main title. Now he's being set up for a match with Duke Hudson? Like, that's kind of lame. I don't think Hudson's that good. I don't think anyone in the Breakout Tournament has a great character, other than Hayes is fine, but it's not great even. So I think this is a major step down for O'Reilly, but I think it may just be just a quick win for him, maybe to... He does need momentum if he wants a chance in this title chase. So.
And I think this is what I'm saying, right? This is what you're going to get, these new, less experienced guys paired up with some of the veterans that can really work with anyone.
Yeah, but
I don't know who's going to go over or anything. I would have hopefully Kyle O'Reilly, but who knows? So I thought this was obviously not the most creative way to set up a match, but whatever. From facing Adam Cole and beating him to the loser in the second round of the Breakout Tournament seems like a bit of a shift for Kyle. And I think there's going to be things moving in a lot of different directions. It seems this show was a little bit of a reset to me. Like, they're definitely... TakeOver 36 seemed like the end point of some things, and now we're getting into sort of a transitional phase. Because for weeks I've been saying, like, it still feels like the same NXT. This is the one where I think it starts to feel different. So we get the NXT Breakout Tournament Finals match officially now. Carmelo Hayes facing Odyssey Jones. And I ask you, like, are the... both baby faces? I'm not sure. I think so, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because Hayes felt heel when he debuted.
He did.
He shook hands with Kushida.
Right.
And I feel like his character would work a lot better with, like, just the way his entrance
And he can pull off the really cocky, arrogant dude. I think
like
they can do that if they need to. Me too.
And
I'm just not sure.
I was going to say, we already have that, but Cole is on his way out, so there's room for that. And so I feel like he has that look, his Trons and his entrance theme and his overall look kind of screams that character to me, and it's like with the sunglasses and whatever.
Yep.
And then he doesn't act like that, so I don't know. And then I feel like remember in the promo he said he was the overdog instead of the underdog. I feel like they could use that, like they could say, "Oh, everyone thinks I'm the underdog, but I'm like the overdog," and like that's his overconfidence kind of thing, you know? And
yep.
So yeah, I feel like he should be the heel, but no.
I think that might be in the distance. I think he'll. I mean, I'm biased. I prefer heels almost always, right?
No,
so
but
I
if
think
someone works better as a face, they work better as a face.
Yeah, it's rare for me though.
Gargano.
So they lock up, and Jones obviously easily puts Hayes, just kind of puts him across the top turn, or sits him on the top turnbuckle right away. Back elbow and then a Beal by Jones. Hayes hits a drop kick to the face and one to the leg of Jones. We get a pump kick, but the Insiguri is then caught by Odyssey Jones. Hayes' springboard is caught as well. He's slammed onto the mat. We come back from the break, and Jones is selling his leg. I don't quite know why. But he places Hayes across the turnbuckles, hits some clubbing blows. We get a long face lock in the middle of this by Hayes to slow things even further. I'm going to assume it's to let the 400-pound guy catch his breath. So I'm not going to blame Hayes.
Next to nothing.
Pump kicks and a springboard forearm, but Jones stays on his feet still. Jones finally knocked to the mat with an axe kick. Shoulder breaker by Jones, and Hayes' momentum is quickly gone. Jones runs himself into the post, missing Hayes. Hayes hits his top rope axe kick, but no cover, because he's been using that as a finisher, right? And Jones gets up, so I was like, yes, he's going to win. Oh, no, he's not. So, because I wasn't sure who was going to win. I was hoping Hayes would win. Hayes misses something from the top rope, gets splashed, but as soon as Jones goes for the pin...
Oh, it was his axe kick.
Was it?
Yeah.
Hayes counters with a crucifix pin and actually does earn the win here and wins the Breakout Tournament.
Of course, it's by a roll, though, because you could never actually beat the big guy.
Probably a bit of an upset as Carmelo Hayes beats Odyssey Jones. What'd you think?
This wasn't great, especially for the finals of a tournament. The main lull was that guillotine front face lock hold that went on for way too long, and the action was never super exciting to begin with. as a whole, this tournament has been a major letdown compared to the first one. I doubt any of the matches, if you go back from the first tournament, were amazing. But I remember liking some matches. Like, see guys like Angel Garza and Cameron Grimes. Like, you had some good guys in there.
I feel like they got more time and more
time,
right? Like, I don't know.
It was the first tournament, like, and just this one feels like it's an afterthought.
This one feels like we're introducing them all. Here's a 4-minute match. Let's move on.
Right. It feels like an afterthought. It's really like coming across as such as well.
Yeah.
Maybe this tournament but like, like the last one produced like a bunch of current stars, and maybe this one will too. But
eventually, hopefully.
As it stands, I highly doubt it.
Yeah. I thought this match was pretty slow and basic for the most part. I mean, we've seen what Hayes can do. He's been impressive, so I'm not going to blame him for this. I would say it's Jones for the lack of pace in this one. Jones has size and charisma for sure, but in ring at this point, he's not very fun to watch. Not even really impressive power moves, and he's 400 pounds, and we're told he's this powerhouse, but I don't see any moves where I'm really impressed. So I'm happy Carmelo Hayes won, but this wasn't a great match. I assume that Hayes will go after the Cruiserweight Championship, which I think for such a confident guy doesn't really make a lot of sense, but is he really going to challenge Samoa Joe after we saw half the locker room come out and get involved with Joe?
Well, even the Cruiserweight title scene seems busy because you got Roddy.
So maybe he'll go North American? I guess that would work too. Possibly.
Yeah, I would like him to face Swerve.
That'd be my preference, I think.
That would be a nice, like, he's not winning that, I don't think.
That'd be a fun match.
He would be a good placeholder challenger, I feel like.
So, like you said, this tournament was pretty major dud for me throughout. Very uninspired and disappointing because we were both like, cool, tournament with new guys coming in. I'm excited. And then not one match was I really, really impressed. And I'm not entirely sure it's the talent's fault, to be honest. But anyways. Regal then joins Hayes on the ramp, congratulates him, saying he more than deserves the title shot he's going to receive. Hayes takes the contract, is asked what's next for him. He sort of puts over Odyssey Jones a little bit for being a tough competitor, says it's too early to decide who he's going to face, but he called his shot and got here to win the tournament, and when Hayes shoots, he doesn't miss. Yeah? Any thoughts on that little promo?
No, I didn't make any notes, but I thought it was fine.
I like him on the mic and in the ring, so other than his size limiting him, I hope NXT has some time for him, because he's not exactly what they're supposed to be looking for right now, but I think the guy's very talented.
Mm-hmm.
We then get the group of Pete Dunne, Ridge Holland, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch. They're backstage. Dunne says he doesn't care how many people will interrupt him. Joe knows how this ends. He's the new champion when they face off. Burch and Lorcan then talk about how they never lost the titles, and Holland says that he's going to put Thatcher and Ciampa on the shelf. And that was it. What'd you think?
I thought it was fine promos from all of them, and obviously I thought Dunne spoke the best.
Yeah, he's good now. It's weird.
But this felt really disjointed, as it felt like they would speak and talk about their thing, and as soon as they were done, they would shut up and let the other person talk about their issue. It just felt kind of like it didn't flow. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Burch and Lorcan versus MSK would probably be a good match, but also a bad feud, because MSK's promo style is like, if they're acting all silly and whatever, I don't like it. And Burch and Lorcan, I mentioned, if they're not doing a match, they're boring as hell. And Ridge Holland still sucks. I just don't really
He didn't get better from the beginning of the show?
No.
Oh, interesting.
I just don't love him speaking, and also don't love him wrestling, and I really want Dunne out of this.
I thought this was pretty solid by everybody. I didn't mind it as much as you. I hope the best for this group, and listen, I'm going to try and sell you on it. I think it could work, because you have an established star who's capable on the mic now, a tag team that needs a mouthpiece, fine, but can really wrestle, right? And an up-and-coming powerhouse who needs to improve in the ring. He's kind of like your Batista of this group. So I think there's potential there. I don't think Holland's bad either. He's just not very good yet. So the parts are there, I think, for a cool faction, but like you, I'm not fully convinced yet. But I'm trying to just look at it and go, okay, so Dunne's proven himself as a talker. He can talk for the tag team, and then you got your young muscle sort of backup there. So it like your Wardlow kind of thing. It could work. I don't know. We'll see. We then get a quick Boa vignette ahead of the match. He says another victim will fall to Tien Shaw here. And then quickly they tell us next week that Ilya Dragunov will return to NXT. And then we do get the match, which is Boa versus Zion Quinn. Had you ever heard of Zion Quinn before?
No.
Me either. He's got a pretty cool look, though, I have to say.
I was noting he looks kind of... I think he's Samoan.
He does have that kind of look, for sure.
He has
He's got
the
tattoos and
I
everything.
think. Yeah, and just the look in general.
So a flurry of kicks, then knees by Boa right away. Palm strike to the chest before some more kicks. Mei Ying sort of stands up and gestures at Boa. So Boa's turn to face her, and he gets caught with the forearm as he's looking at Mei Ying, and he gets pinned really quickly, surprisingly.
Oh, that was dumb.
After the match, Quinn considers going up the ramp where Mei Ying is positioned. So instead, he thinks better of that because she's terrifying, I guess, even though he just beat her top guy. But anyways, he decides to leave through the crowd. Mei Ying is not happy with Boa. Thoughts? Remember when we liked this gimmick?
Yeah.
Seems so long ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. The match wasn't really anything, and the finish was stupid. Boa took way too long to acknowledge Mei Ying and heed the instructions. And then he did turn around. It wasn't even a distraction roll-up. He turned around and then lost to a running forearm.
Yep.
That's to be the worst finishing move of all time. It's like it wasn't even a distraction roll-up. It wasn't even that.
Oh, right. And then flash back to the vignettes that we enjoyed, where he's getting mercilessly beaten on by his whatever
so he loses to running form. Did
but
that
then he
not
loses
matter
to
at
one
all?
Move. So
did that not make a difference?
I think Zion has a cool look. I don't know, but
yeah, I would like to see him again.
Me too, because he didn't get to do anything here, but I still think this was about Boa, right? So this is the problem, right? This team of deadly martial artists and their extreme training, right, certainly haven't accomplished very much in NXT. So that was my issue from the beginning. I remember saying it, right? Those vignettes made these guys look so strong that booking them to do anything other than dominate isn't going to work. And they're not good enough to dominate, right? They're just Xia Li has gotten a lot better, but she's not a top of the card person. Boa hasn't really done anything. So those vignettes were really cool and fun to watch, but unless they're just going to steamroll everyone for months, it doesn't work for me. So they haven't looked dominant at all. So the gimmick of this group, I think, has lost its luster for me. I don't really get much out of this anymore. And they've waited far too long to do anything with Mei Ying at this point, right?
Yeah,
I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, and they even so the train didn't matter, and also the vignette where they explained why her name's Tian Sha doesn't matter because they call her Mei Ying.
Right. Oh, yeah, that animated thing they did that was kind of cool. So then Gargano is backstage with Regal. Says that he always sees Regal as an unspoken member of the family, just trying to suck up here as Johnny would. Says where there's a will, there's a way. Johnny wants Regal to cancel the wedding, but Regal refuses, saying it'll be good for TV, especially watching Johnny go cuckoo bananas, which is a phrase I don't like anyways, let alone with Regal using it, but whatever. Johnny and Regal argue about the pronunciation of bananas for a little bit, because I guess Regal said bananas probably in his accent as he would. When LA Knight comes in, complains about the segment with Joe, but Regal shoves them both out of the office. Thoughts?
I like Gargano's will away line was good. Where there's a will, there's a way. I thought that was pretty funny.
It's a dad joke, right? He's almost a dad. He's prepping the dad jokes. I respect it.
I like that.
Yeah.
You don't ever do. You need to do that more. You need to start
more dad jokes.
Yes.
Wow. Be careful what you wish for.
Well, dad jokes are so bad.
My dad was the king of dad jokes before dad jokes were a thing.
Well,
the pun master.
They're one of those things where it's they're so bad they circle around to funny. They're so not funny they circle around to funny.
There are books of puns in my childhood home. Guaranteed.
You should grab one.
I can.
And so then I thought this just deteriorated into a bunch of guys yelling, and it was just really annoying. It's like they're both yelling at night, and then Regal's like, "You both get it," and there's both yelling, and it was just it was really annoying.
I thought also a strange segment on this show, right?
Yeah, it just felt like I guess this is kind of natural, but this is not what I want on this. I guess
I think it's kind of again. Gargano maybe is done with Loomis, and this is introducing a storyline they're going to go with Knight and Gargano. You know what I mean? It kind of feels
they're both kind of heel, I guess.
It kind of feels like the reset of here's new directions for people on this show.
But I did see a thing that Gargano is set to be a top heel for NXT.
Yeah.
So, which that sucks for me.
But they seem to be putting kind of heels together a lot lately.
Or matches. This doesn't even feel necessary because so there was Swerve and Escobar, which that should be a good match. I keep saying that, but we're not getting it yet.
Yeah.
But that should be a good match. Well, there was another one where they did that. What was it?
You're asking me to remember things. That's
no,
not
but it was recent too. Oh, it was Cross and Gargano.
Right.
That's all I got.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought this was a weird segment as well. Malcolm Bivens is at the Diamond Mine narrating as Roderick Strong is sort of, I think, running a training session.
That is what I think it was.
And he says that next week Strong will issue an open challenge to everyone and will prove to Kushida and the world what a champion he is. And that was basically it. What did you think?
So Bivens said Strong is teaching some at some class or like students or whatever.
Yeah.
And I hope it's those guys who are the security guards. I couldn't tell because I don't remember what they look like, but I hope that's what this is, and that's like them continuing this.
Oh, so you think he's training actual people we'll see at some point?
Yeah, like
Cool.
Remember I was saying
Yeah.
like those security guys were
Right.
in the background again?
You did
I think
notice
this
them.
might be them.
Yeah.
And also we did learn the coach guy's WWE name is Hachiman or
Yeah.
Hachiman or whatever. I only knew his
Hachiman, yeah.
Hideki Suzuki
Right.
because that's his. He was a wrestler elsewhere,
Right.
and this makes sense because his this is his Instagram handle WWE
That
tagged on
makes
the
a
back.
lot of sense.
And I thought it was Hachiman or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's an I after the A, but no, it's Hachiman or
Right.
whatever. I forget how he pronounced it.
I actually like this. I thought this was it was short,
Yeah.
but a little bit of a bigger, more confident role for Bivens.
And it does kind of help
Bivens,
to
sorry.
illustrate at least what they kind of do.
And I like that it feels like they're going the route of they're going to start in a heel way, contrasting Strong showing up and fighting everybody while Kushida's sort of away, right? And they could say, like, you ducked the match we were supposed to have sort of thing.
Right.
So that is a...
Like Strong's keeping
that's
busy.
a storyline I like, right? Because it feels realistic. A simple heel story that could work. And I think the other benefit is Strong nor Kushida have to talk, right, about that. Because Kushida's not there. Bivens can talk for Strong. So I don't know where Kushida is or how long he's away for, but I feel like that's the story they're going to tell, that Strong is here and fighting and the champion's nowhere to be found. Then we have our main event, which is Hit Row versus Legado del Fantasma in a long-standing feud here. So Hit Row have a great entrance, right? And the thing they do in the corner at the end where they're sort of all looking into the camera, I think that's a really cool,
It's a cool angle.
and it's unique to them, right? So...
for the time being.
And Hit Row are definitely not getting a heel reaction from the crowd, right? So they need to keep their attitude, but probably turn to baby faces, I think, because they're just going to get cheered. Unless we go back to like NXT extras in the crowd who are programmed to do whatever whatever
I
they're
think it
supposed
might
to do.
just be they're more cheerable than Legato.
They are. Oh yeah, they're fun. Like we think they're cool. It'd be hard not to cheer them, even though you're not supposed to, because they're cool. Anyways, Legato attack before the bell. All three focus on Top
I
Dollar.
would boo them at a show,
Because
though.
Top Dollar be really big. But B-Fab grabs Escobar's ankle. Hit Row drag Legato out. And the match starts with Escobar and Dalla finally. Hit Row are in control early, and Adonis monkey flips wild and hits a flapjack onto the floor. Mendoza's in control after a commercial break, and Legato isolates Swerve in the heel corner. They do the frequent tag clothesline thing that goes on for too long, and I don't know why we fell in love with clotheslines in NXT.
It would be nice if they did different corner tacks and like maybe some assisted
They're
ones.
two like super athletic dudes. Like, why just do something else?
Three.
Mix it, right? Escobar hits his double running knees in a delayed vertical suplex. Tandem offense leading to a near fall for Wild. Scott finally makes the tag to Top Dollar, who runs over Escobar before hitting a knee lift, corner splash, and a sidewalk slam. We get an elbow drop by Top Dollar, and Legato have to break up the pin.
Oh yeah, it's like his version of the people's elbow.
Yeah,
like
it's kind of his.
It's like
he's got a little flair to it,
jiggle,
sort of thing.
or like no, he does like the
Little shimmy.
And Top
Yeah.
Dollar, not, and then he does, like he'll run
Yes.
the ropes, stop, and then do the elbow. 'cause
That is correct.
That's how they have to do it.
So Dalla ends up carrying all three of Legato
Dalla.
around a little bit, which
That was kind of cool.
definitely impressive. But then Wade even calls it the world's strongest Wade Slam, right? So he kind of throws
Wade
all
Slam.
three of them down. The world's strongest Wade Slam.
Wasteland.
Wade Slam.
Wasteland.
I'm just joking. You know what it's from.
I know what it is. Yeah. What was that from again?
I can't
I
remember
know.
exactly, but it was a podcast I used to listen to, and the guy honestly thought it was the Wade Slam and was like arguing, and then the other host or hosts were just killing themselves laughing. Like, no, it's not the Wade Slam.
I mean,
Although, to be fair,
they love to like
WWE does stuff like that.
right, like Grandma. He had the Metalik driver,
Right.
Grandma Metalik.
Well,
stuff
even
like that. Or the Michinoku driver, Taka
AEW does
Michinoku.
it, the Jaded, right? Which I think is annoying.
Although
even.
that one's like that's at least not her actual name. It's a play on her name at least.
Yes.
I
What a brilliant play.
But like I don't know. It's like
What a wordsmith, Shakespeare.
no,
Nice.
like
Anyways, we get a missile drop kick by Mendoza, and a driver of some kind before Swerve runs in with a kick to stop the pin. Swerve and Escobar finally face off. Swerve hits a flatliner. Top Dollar takes out the rest on the floor. Swerve hits a 450 to Escobar for a near fall. Swerve is then tripped, lands face first on the apron. The ref checks on him, and B-Fab runs Escobar into the post. Elektra Lopez shows up, okay,
Jobber.
and hits B-Fab with a lead pipe, then throws it to Swerve, it looks like,
Jobber.
who gets rolled up by Escobar. You calling Swerve a jobber?
No, I'm calling
I know,
Elektra
I'm
Lopez
just joking.
a jobber.
And gets
I
rolled
would
up.
never say that about Swerve.
He gets rolled up by Escobar, and Legado get the win here. Thoughts? Oh, sorry, I had... No, go ahead. You give your thoughts first.
Okay. The match was fine. There's some cool moments, but I really hope it gets Swerve versus Escobar. I wrote Serve for some reason. Because Swerve's title run has felt pretty overshadowed so far, and I want him to get a good rating.
really has.
I think he deserves it. The finish sucked, as I don't like Legado del Fantasma bringing someone else, especially when someone who is a jobber.
Adding a girl to the faction.
I guess.
Sorry, a woman to the faction.
But they're a jobber.
I mean, yeah, she's had, one match? So
She's had
give her a break, man.
and it didn't completely make sense why she threw the pipe to Swerve. And I thought the roll-up didn't look super believable either.
Yeah, was she supposed to be accidentally throwing it to Swerve or intentionally
like as a
to make it
distraction, I guess?
to make it look like he's cheat? I don't know.
No, because the ref would have. But like, I guess it's like a distraction for Swerve. But the roll-up didn't look very good either, and I don't like the finish just in general. Overall decent main event with the lame finish, and I don't know. I hope she fits. She doesn't seem like she fits as it stands. But
yeah, I don't know anything
we'll
about
see.
her, so we'll see.
Other than she's a jobber.
Maybe they're trying to force somebody in there to face B-Fab down the road. You know what I mean? Or all four of them, or something.
Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of like B-Fab as just a valet because we don't get that a lot.
No.
Like even Vega eventually wrestled, right? So.
Yep. And Scarlett is also going to be wrestling apparently.
Oh
so
yeah.
We'll see how
that's
that
true.
goes.
At the moment, Scarlett is one. At least.
So Wade Barrett asked what the hell was going on here, and I had to agree with him.
Good question.
I thought the match was okay, but not great. The finish was strange, and I didn't really love it. Can't somebody just actually win in this feud at some point, right? Again, the lack of clear heel face dynamic hurts a little bit, and I didn't like Swerve. He seemed to be like the face, whatever, in peril. What's the term we just learned? The maybe face in peril for so long.
Yeah, the face in peril. That's what you call it.
And he's the champion, right? So I don't know.
He's literally the only person with the title in this match.
So I think, as you said, right, they need to start booking him stronger. He is a champion here. So as main events
and
go,
with the title that I like.
I hate to say it because I really like both of these groups. I didn't think this was that great, frankly. Overall opinion on this show with a grade, please.
So overall, not a great show. Definitely, that may be because of the winds of change. And I've seen the planned new NXT logo. Whew, you're gonna love it. It's awful.
Can't wait.
The opening segment was just okay, and the first match of the show was meh at best. I think Holland just isn't that good. He's one of the guys from the other sport, which I'm not going to like moving forward. I really hope he improves, but at this point, I don't have much hope. He unfortunately may be the template for future recruits, which that sucks, but that's the reality we live in now.
It is.
Hayes and Jones both got interviews with that journalist guy who I now think kind of sucks. Both were fine, but did little for either of them, and Hayes was clearly the better one, if you're going to pick one. I couldn't care less about anything involving Index, and I don't give a crap about their wedding, more so what their date is.
Unless Bischoff's the minister in a mask again, because that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we could do that again just for no reason. The wedding's fake and Loomis is like fluent in 5 languages or something.
Yep.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
The women's tag match wasn't great, and it sucks that Dolan and Jane lost just after it looked like they were getting going. I would say things may get better, but it seems they will be alone with Mandy Rose, so never mind. Raquel had a solid interview, which seemingly sets up her next feud, and Katie Ray I thought had a solid debut. Like, she looked good. Samoa Joe segment with all the other guys was fine. I really hope Dunn is chosen to face Joe, because I think that's the best match you can get out of this, because O'Reilly is great in the ring, but I think Dunn's better outside of the ring than he is. I'm not thrilled about Duke Hudson versus O'Reilly next week, but we seem to be getting that. And the finals of the Breakout Tournament were not great, and just as a whole, a really disappointing tournament, because I was looking forward to this, bringing new people, which they didn't do a great job of doing that. And then
they did not make any stars at this point.
None of the matches were good either, right?
No.
There weren't any star-making performances.
Nope.
In fact, the one guy, Hayes, he had his star-making performances before the tournament started.
Absolutely. Who was the match we really liked with him?
Cole.
Right.
And no surprise.
No surprise.
Pete Dunne's group promo was okay. Felt kind of disjointed, just didn't flow great. And the main event was fine from an in-ring standpoint. Pretty standard up until the finish. I didn't love. Overall, just a mess show. A lot of just okay stuff. So I'm gonna give it a B-. Just I feel like below the average for me.
Yeah, that's fair, I think. That's what I thought. It finally happened, right? This is the episode where NXT for me starts to feel different. Clearly new feuds and storylines are beginning. People are being placed in sort of different roles. The show felt kind of chaotic at times with a lot of moving parts, and I also didn't really love it overall. I thought Holland and Thatcher had a decent match, but definitely, and I think definitely the best match Holland has had. The women's tag match was fine but not great. Kaylee Ray and Boa were basically squashes in different directions, I guess. The breakout final, like you said, was disappointing, and the main event was just kind of good, not as good as I'd hoped it would be, and the finish wasn't good.
Given the people involved, I'm expecting much more.
Me too.
Maybe once you isolate kind of the lesser parts of that, and you just give me Escobar and Swerve, then we can maybe get to something much better. Maybe that's the issue, is like, because maybe Top Dollar's not that great yet, and maybe, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so maybe there are just some, you just need to kind of take out the negatives,
I guess. I didn't think this was a very good episode in ring wise. We had Grimes and DiBiase seemed to be done, which is good. Hayes and Jones had solid interviews, I thought. The Joe segment with the million interruptions was a bit chaotic and a lot to process, but it wasn't bad. The Way only got one short segment right, which I appreciate. Dunn's group I thought did a good job, and so did Bivens for the Diamond Mine. So I didn't really love this show. I get that it's time to reboot things, but this show felt a bit confusing to me. I give it a C+, so a little bit lower for sure, below average in the ring, and a little bit confusing outside of it. So I did not love this episode, and I just don't want shows in the C range. If it's constantly B ranges, then I'm okay, right? Like, that's not a waste of my time.
Yeah, if it's constantly C range, we might have to make a change.
And that's sad, because I have literally seen every NXT since it started, so that would be the end of an era for me, but at some point it could happen.
Oh, most definitely is an end of an era.
But anyways, that's going to finish up the review of that, and let's talk some trivia. What do you think?
Sure.
Let's move into Off the Top of His Head. All right, so I'm still relying on these quizzes from No DQ. They've been good.
That's fine. They're fun.
I think I got 2 more weeks of them, and then I might have to get back to making my own if I still can find the time. But let's go. You ready?
Yeah.
This one's hard, although maybe you figured out.
Is it hard for you or hard for me?
Maybe both. What date was Kane's movie See No Evil released?
What? How's that?
Do you want options? I got
Sure.
options. In this, maybe the option will lead you to it. April 20th, May 19th, July 4th, October 31st.
May 19th.
May 19th? Why would you pick that one?
Because there's some segment, like May 19th is related to Kane for something. I don't know why. But
wow.
I just know that's related to Kane in some capacity.
Because I figured, the October 31st makes it sounds like, right, that would be the time they would release it, because it's Kane and it's a Halloween-y time. Anyways, good guess. Well, good educated guess,
Estimate.
I guess.
Is it?
Which WWE...
Is estimate just a math thing?
Estimate is you would more approximate, but you got it. Okay. Which WWE female star made her debut on the Raw the night after WrestleMania 30?
Paige.
Paige is correct. Nice. Didn't even need the options. What was the name of Daniel Bryan and Kane's anger management therapist?
Dr. Shelby.
Yeah, that one I knew.
Yeah.
And that's a sign that some of those segments were amazing, because I still remember them, right? And there's not many things from that far back I remember from wrestling. So who did Bart Gunn knock out to win the 1998 Brawl for All? So in the finals, who did he knock out?
Bradshaw?
Correct. I knew that one too, because I'd just seen a thing recently on it.
Yeah, weren't we watching The Dark Side of the Ring a little while ago?
Exactly, that's what it was. Which city and state hosted WrestleMania 8? Good luck. I got options if you want.
Just let me pick first.
Yeah, think about it if you can figure it out. WrestleMania 8, which city
me options.
Sorry?
Give me
options. LA, Indianapolis, Las Vegas, New York. And your answer is?
Can you give me them again? I forgot.
LA, Indianapolis, Las Vegas, New York.
Indianapolis.
Is correct.
Yeah!
Just a guess?
Pretty much.
Yeah. What wild animal, I didn't know this one, did Scott Steiner bring to the ring during an October 2000 edition of Nitro? I thought I would remember this.
Give me options.
Snake, alligator, tiger, bear.
Alligator.
That was my guess, but it's wrong because it is a tiger.
They put a tiger?
I don't remember this, but
What?
apparently,
That's
and I go back.
bananas.
Actually, I was gonna say I go back and watch 2000 WCW, which is not something anyone should ever admit
Oh,
to.
it was 2000. Okay,
but,
that makes sense.
But I don't watch the Nitros. I've been watching some pay-per-views.
Oh, I was picturing.
They're the height of bad like just.
I was picturing Steiner's from like the tag team.
2000 WCW is a train wreck at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's crazy. Anyways, what was the name of Dean Ambrose's? I remembered this one too. Potted plant.
Mitch.
Mitch, the potted plant, is correct.
Yes.
Which wrestler was the recipient of the Jesse the Body Award? I got this one right. Just saying.
Okay.
But I always see the options.
Go.
So, options: Rude, Hercules, Savage, Uncle Elmer. You know Uncle Elmer, right?
Yeah.
So unless it was some sort of ironic award, you could probably eliminate him. Rude, Hercules, Savage.
Hercules.
No, Rick Rude. I was watching wrestling for that one. Who did Jushin Thunder Liger defeat at 2015 NXT Takeover Brooklyn? I actually remembered that too. It is correct.
Yeah, because we reviewed it. Remember?
We did review it. Who was the 10th entrant in the 2017 Royal Rumble?
Ty Dillon.
Yeah, I was going to say, think about it. Yes, Tyler.
Yeah, and he was going to in 2018, but then Sami Zayn took him out and took his spot.
What type of match did Steve Austin and The Undertaker have at 1999 Fully Loaded?
Buried Alive, I want to say.
That is not one of the options.
Oh, different pay-per-view then.
Would you like options?
Oh, was it First Blood?
It was First Blood. Very good.
Yeah, no, Buried Alive was Rock Bottom.
Nice. Who did Bret Hart defeat to win the 1993 King of the Ring?
Bam Bam Bigelow.
I did not get that one right, and you did. Nice.
I think he also beat Perfect and Razor.
I believe that you would know that. Who did Chris Jericho defeat to become the first AEW champion? Hard one, eh? Tough
Hangman
one.
Page.
Correct.
Sad.
Which wrestler made a cameo appearance on the TV show Married with Children? Want options? Hogan, Savage, Bundy, Al Snow.
Savage.
Nope, it was King Kong Bundy because the family on that show were the Bundys. But you wouldn't know that. We record something where we catch the theme song of that show. It's that Love and Marriage. That one. Anyways, don't worry about it. I should never sing on this show again. I apologize to anyone listening. Which future WWE champion appeared on a skit where he kissed the $1 Million Man's feet?
Rob Van Dam.
That is correct. I knew that one too. Because I just learned that fact not long ago, and I couldn't believe I didn't know it already.
I've watched a million top 10 videos.
I just didn't
when
know.
I was younger, I loved watching the top 10.
I couldn't believe I didn't know.
And a lot of them are and there were some where it's superstars before they were famous.
Yes. Who was the first person in WWE to use what would become Kurt Angle's theme song?
The Patriot.
That is correct. I knew that one too somehow. Who did the ring announcements for the 2008 Royal Rumble match? Options if you need them.
Yeah.
Finkel, Garcia, Michael Buffer, Bruce Buffer.
I want to say Finkel.
No, that was my guess too, but it was Michael Buffer.
He's
the Let's Get Ready to Rumble, that guy.
I still don't know who that is.
Really? He did a WCW
I know
a lot
that's
of
a
stuff.
thing, but I don't know.
Who did Andre the Giant, heard of him?
No.
Eliminate last to win the WrestleMania 2 Battle Royal?
Is it the refrigerator guy?
It was not. It was Bret Hart, but Perry was in that one, I think.
I know. I just know that was the WWF NFL thing.
Good luck with this one. According to Spotify, what was the official name of Razor Ramon's WWE theme song? You may have options if you like. Scarface, Machismo, Bad Guy, Bad Boy.
Machismo?
No. It was Bad Boy.
Bad Boy?
Yeah, I know. Anyways.
But he was the bad guy.
He was. What was the first ECW pay-per-view not to be held in Philadelphia? Good luck. It was in 1997, if it helps you.
Probably not. Give me it.
Barely Legal, Heat Wave, Hardcore Heaven, November to Remember.
Hardcore Heaven.
Hardcore Heaven is correct. Nicely done.
Okay, so the way I know this is Well, so I've watched this ranking of Cultaholic, all
Yeah.
the AEW pay-per-views a bunch, but that
Yep.
wasn't it. So I remember they recently put out a Legends Elite of Bam Bam Bigelow in an ECW tire. I remember seeing that that's from
Oh
Hardcore
my
Heaven.
goodness, the way.
And then on the ranking list, I remember them saying, I think that was in Bam Bam's hometown or whatever. So that's how I knew that was out of Philadelphia.
It's like A Beautiful Mind here, folks. But
Yeah.
you wouldn't know that movie.
So
but
those are connected.
nice. That's way to figure it out. Who did Eddie
Thanks.
Guerrero wrestle in his final televised WWE match?
But he
is one of the options.
No, Mr. Kennedy.
That is correct. Nice save.
And I remember he did that thing where he hits the mat with the chair and throws it to him.
Right. Which band recorded the theme song for Steve Austin when he returned to WWE in 2000? I actually knew this one only because I knew that the band
Give it to me.
Slipknot, System of a Down, Disturbed, Backstreet Boys. So I got
Backstreet Boys?
Yeah, right.
Why is that an option?
I think it's what they sometimes in the multiple choice you put one that can't be the answer just for
I
fun.
think that's really funny. Disturbed?
It's correct because I knew that they'd done WWE themes.
I was about to say Slipknot, but then I was like, Disturbed sounds like...
I knew they had done themes. I didn't know whose, and I knew the other ones hadn't. So I
Imagine
knew I
if the
got that one too.
Backstreet Boys did Austin's... Oh, I would pay to see that.
Who did Hulk Hogan face on the very first Saturday Night main event in 1985? When 8-year-old me, well, I wouldn't have been watching it at that point.
Was that on... This was on like NBC, right? Is what it was?
Probably. I don't remember.
I think that... I can't remember if that's what it's called. Options, please.
Big John Studd, Paul Orndorff, Roddy Piper, Bob Orton.
It's either Orton or Piper, so I'm gonna say...
50-50.
Piper.
It was Bob Orton.
Damn it!
So close.
Yeah, I was like almost right, kinda.
Yep, second last one. What was the official match time for Goldberg versus Lesnar 2016?
I feel like it was like a minute 26 seconds.
Wow, that is exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, last
That was
one.
in Toronto,
Let's
baby.
hope it's impossible. Keep the gimmick alive.
Oh wow, thanks.
It might be. What was the name of the first pay-per-view produced under the WWE name instead of the WWF name?
Okay,
First
so it's
pay-per-view.
2002.
Wow, okay. I wouldn't have known that even. But that
Options,
makes sense.
please.
WrestleMania, heard of it? Backlash, Judgment Day, King of the Ring. And I don't remember the answer to this one. So I can't give anything away in my reading of the options.
Backlash.
Backlash is incorrect. It was Judgment Day, so you got the last question wrong, as we enjoy. For some reason. We meaning me. But anyways, still a pretty good job. Some amazing knowledge of wrestling stuff that you were not even alive for. So I guess that's going to lead us back into talking about more wrestling as we transition now into looking at this week's AEW Dynamite.
And we start the show with Yippee! Orange Cassidy versus Matt Hardy.
Yeah, big money Matt Hardy, main eventer. I'm
Big
just
money
kidding.
match. I know we were both looking forward to this match a ton.
There's
right?
some, not to spoil anything, there's a lack of talent in some of the matches on this show that I will get into.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anyways. So, lack of talent's mean. Lower card talent, shall we say. It's a very lower card full show this week.
Sounds to me like they need Tyler Rust.
Well, I did see that 2.0 were supposed to be involved in the 6-man tag match, but one of them had a baby. I think Matt Lee just had a baby.
Good for him.
So that's why whoever got in that match, I forget.
Garcia.
There you go. And
Good for
who
him.
was he with, though?
No one.
Oh, just himself. It was supposed to be a 6-man, I think. Anyways, sorry, go ahead. We're not there yet.
So yes, we get Cassidy versus Hardy start. And what I thought, a basic opener with a couple of cool moves.
Yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, I would say so. One of my first notes is straightforward match, so I don't disagree with you.
Notable is basically Cassidy hits a lazy kick and then Hardy will say delete in probably the weirdest exchange of all time.
It was lengthy too. Like, I'm not saying too long, but it was a very long, like, lazy kick delete. So yeah,
Right.
that happened.
Hardy reaches in his pockets and pulls out money. Cassidy dropkicks Hardy out of the ring and takes a bill that was dropped and puts it in his pocket. Hardy stretches Cassidy around the ring post after pressing his face against it. So
Yep.
using the ring post for some stuff.
I thought that looked good where he was bending him across the. Yeah, that looked good.
Repeated back suplexes by Hardy. Body slam and standing elbow drop for 2 by Hardy. Hardy takes his money back from Cassidy and hits a back elbow. and a leg drop for 2.
He also took the time, Hardy did, to pick up the money that was on the canvas, which I thought was funny, right? Because he's trying to look all super rich and flashy by throwing this money around. Then he's like, wait a minute, I need that. So he stops in mid-match to pick it up off the mat, which was kind of funny.
One of the cool moves, sit out Razor's Edge by Hardy for 2.
Yep, it was cool.
Yeah, I was talking about how we've seen that a while ago with Roman Reigns.
Is that Splash Mountain?
You see that?
Is that what it's called? Splash Mountain.
Sit out Razor's Edge.
Splash Mountain.
Who calls it that?
That's what it's called. I don't know what to tell you.
Who calls it that?
I just did, plus the commentary team did.
Did they?
Yes.
Oh. Where's that from?
I don't know. You look at me like I'm making it up.
Sounds like it.
I'm not.
Tilt-a-whirl DDT by Cassie for 2. Hardy gets busted open pretty bad.
He does. Apparently broken nose is what I hear. It certainly looked like it.
Hands in pocket swanton bomb by Cassidy. Hardy avoids a twist of fate and hits corner shoulder blocks, and then a middle rope elbow drop to the back. I was going to say he's not going to hit the leg drop because he doesn't like to do that.
Right.
Cassie counters a twist of fate and hits one of his own for near fall. Cassie avoids a submission attempt by Hardy, which they called like the leech. I think it was like a double underhook submission.
It is the leech. That's his submission thing, yes.
And he gets a sit down pin with his hands in the pockets for the win. So it's kind of like it's like, if you have someone sit out and then they kind of flip over, it's like that, but then he locks it in with his hands in his pockets.
Right, which that wasn't my favorite, that he took the time to do that on the pinfall. I thought was a bit too much for me, but like you should just try and win the match, man, not throw in a little comedy bit at the end.
I guess that's to kind of, because then like they can't really break the grip if he's holding in his pockets.
Yeah, I suppose. So you're saying it was actually functional.
That's the point. Yeah.
Okay. I thought this was a pretty straightforward match. Had some comedy worked into it to start especially, but then it picked up, and I always say I'm not a big blood guy in matches, but I thought blood added something to this, like the Dragunov Strong match, same thing. Hardy controlled most of this. He got decent heat from the crowd, I thought. He didn't work fast, but he looked good. I mean, Matt Hardy knows how to wrestle. He just can't quite do the things he used to do, right? So when he's wrestling within his abilities, I think he's okay. The crowd got what they wanted with the Cassidy comeback and victory. I didn't love the pin with the hands in pockets, but it ended up being a pretty good match. A good use of Hardy. Definitely not like a top-notch AEW opener, but I didn't hate it either. I thought it was a good match, we'll say.
Yeah. This was fine, I guess, but not what I'm looking for in an opener, especially in AEW. It was solid, but like, I didn't particularly love it. There were a couple cool moves like the sit-out Razor's Edge by Hardy, but in general, a pretty basic match and a feud I don't really care about. It was fine, but it's not an ideal opener.
No, I would agree.
Definitely not what you would call a hot opener.
No, it wasn't, but I don't think it was bad. And the crowd liked it, which I guess is the point.
Yeah. Next we get a promo from Malachi Black.
Did we ever?
Black says he agrees with Arn and Brock is in over his head. He offers a way out and says Brock can take a count loss and apologize to him. Black says if anything goes different, he will take it out on anyone associated with the Nightmare family. What'd you think?
I love this. It was just dark, quietly menacing, right? Like, and then he sort of got a little bit more intense.
Right, which I kind of like his style where it's like he's menacing, but he's not even like yelling or anything.
He's just like giving advice, saying like your best bet is to just get out of the ring and take the count out.
It still comes across as menacing.
Oh,
right?
Of course. I thought he sounded great, and I liked the sort of like mostly in the dark, right? It looked cool, and I don't know what WWE was thinking by not using this guy, but anyways, I'm glad he's here, and this was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a good promo from Black. I like him offering Brock away, which I think is kind of interesting, and I like how he's just like kind of like quietly intimidating, which is kind of
I love that
unique.
too. Yep.
I'm surprised this is the main event, which they said a couple times because it'll definitely be a squash. But
definitely surprised that this was the main event as well.
Next we get Chris Jericho discussing his future, and boy, does this go not the way I expected.
Yeah, we were. You were not happy. You had a lot of things to say to the television screen as this was happening.
Yeah. He says people are celebrating except for him because he lost MJ for the 3rd time. Loser. Literally, actually.
Yeah.
He says it's been driving him crazy because he is Chris Jericho and he's always strived to be at the top. He says that's who he is and that's what he does. Well, I guess he said he strived to be at the top. If he said he's always at the top, that's not true. He says he'll bother MJF until it's over. And to that,
this is where Jack's yelling at the screen. No,
it is over.
No, it is over. No, right. it's over.
Right.
Nope.
He proposed one final match at All Out, and I'm just like, no, it's over.
We had,
that was the
final match happened. I watched it.
I watched you lose.
Right.
He says if he can't beat MJF, he might not belong in AEW anymore. He can't beat MJF. Jericho says if MJF beats him, he'll never wrestle in AEW again. Yeah, at this point, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
MJF walks out. MJF says it's getting embarrassing. I agree. MJF tells Jericho to go away and leave him alone, which he's technically supposed to do.
He is.
MJF says he's not an idiot like the fans, and he says Jericho saw his rise and won a rub from MJF to stay relevant. And then I like this line. MJF says Jericho's cash cow is out of milk. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yes, my udders are sore was the line he said, which made me laugh. Yeah.
MJF reminds in my notes Jericho. I put
Nice.
in a P for some reason.
Yeah.
Of the stipulation that since MJF won, they're done, which I was very happy
That is
MJF
correct.
actually reminded
Yep.
us. But then he adds in this. MJF says it's great to say he tapped out Jericho, but it would be legendary to say he ended him.
Yeah.
And he accepts. So that I was very not happy. And just says if he were Jericho, he would reconsider because he's beaten Jericho 3 times and he's better than him and he knows it.
Yeah, I mean,
we almost had it.
Promo wise and stuff, these guys did a great job. I thought, especially MJF. Like, he had a really good shot at Jericho's band as well mixed in there. But how is this not over, right? Like, what was the point of everything up until now? I don't need to see any more of this. MJF could be working with so many cool people other than this. So many fresh matchups waiting for him, but we're going back to this well again. So I don't know. In a vacuum, I guess, without considering anything else, this was a really cool segment, setting up a cool match with a big stipulation. But in reality, it's still a good segment, but this is the millionth match in a series of matches where one guy has won every match the whole time, right? So
whoa, it's only 4, okay? Cut him some slack.
Right. But then other matches related to their feud included, right? So there was supposed to be a decisive end.
I can't remember what the third would be.
Normally AEW is the place that delivers on their stipulations, right? And they don't change plans, but I don't know. MJF was great here, but I don't want to see this go on anymore, and I have a feeling you feel very similarly.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what their third match was, because I want to say the first one was MJF's Inner Circle initiation.
Yeah.
And then the third one was the one last week, but I can't remember what the second one
Is he counting the one in where he threw him off the cage thing?
No, but that was... I think he's saying, like, he beat Jericho. Cause that was Inner Circle and Pinnacle also involved.
Anyways, what'd you think of this match?
I'm trying to think. The match?
Or sorry, the promo
the
segment.
promo from Jericho was fine. I thought MJF did good again. I'm very annoyed about, though, how this is even happening. Since MJF won last week, per the stipulation... it ruled that if MJF won, Jericho would have to leave him alone. MJF even acknowledged the stipulation, but then accepted it anyways. We almost had it. After how basic the match last week was, I don't need this again on pay-per-view. They're not even adding a stipulation as of now. And if you're MJF, why would you waste your time with this rather than pursuing something important like a title? So he was smart enough to put in that stipulation, then dumb enough to ignore it? Like... I don't know. I thought this was lame. I thought it was dumb for what it accomplished, but the promo work was fine.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job, but it's just not something I wanted to see. And it was funny because it took me on a roller coaster, like you were saying. You've got Jericho pitching another match, and I'm like, no, come on. And then MJF looks like he's going to refuse it, and I'm like, there you go. And then he's like, no, I'll do it. Oh, come on. Right?
They need to add something to it at the very least.
Yes.
Because I can guarantee pretty much every one of their matches has been the same.
Yeah, I don't know. It's whatever. It is what it is, which is my least favorite saying, but I'll use it there.
Yes. Varsity Blondes get a quick promo next. Garrison says Lucha Bros will be their toughest test. That's correct. And blood doesn't define family because they are family. Poland says they are more than blood, and they have the collective goal of winning the tournament and facing the Bucks in a cage. I would hope they have that collective goal because they have different goals in this than that. That's not good.
I really want to win the titles. No, not me, man. I'm just, having a good time.
I just want to be part of the tournament.
Right. So I thought the fact that they were at their lockers, like getting out Letterman jackets was kind of funny. It was like that whole high school sort of vibe.
The varsity kind of gimmick,
right. They did a good job, and they've grown on me a lot, right? Like I didn't have much use for these guys when they started, but I guess I always thought Garrison had potential, but I've come around on Pillman too, and I quite like these guys and the way they're positioned in the tag division, actually.
Mm-hmm. Next, we get the actual match that they're referring to is Lucha Bros versus the Varsity Blondes in the AEW World Tag Team Championship Eliminator Tournament semifinals. Yeah. Semifinals means nothing because it's literally like a 4-team tournament. But...
That's true. So that's like semifinals is also first round.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the Bucks are sitting on the ramp once again, like they were on, I think it was Rampage, I believe, when it was Private Party and Jurassic Express.
Right. They're scouting.
So this is an action-packed TV tag. I thought it under-delivered slightly for me, but it was still good.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to note before you get into it is the old school vibe to the Blondes as they make their entrance, right? It might be the Letterman jackets or whatever, but it's like Rick Steiner and Mike Rotundo back in the days where I was watching WCW.
Not
and
the Steiners?
They were the varsity squad before that even.
Really?
They were the varsity squad in the late 80s when I was watching WCW.
Even the Steiners had like similar jackets.
They did.
Nature, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And we do have the return of Joker Penta.
Yep.
And so Phoenix has got like I was saying I really don't hope they don't make a figure of this attire because it's got an AEW logo spam on the left side of his tights, which like if
you're
not using AEW, then it's kind of, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing, but like if you're not using AEW stuff, right?
Yep.
And then I saw on Rampage you wore the same attire but with an all gold mask, which I think that looks really cool, and you didn't use that here, so I'm kind of
Penta has the best gear going,
kind of
offended.
Yeah, he has the Joker gear, which is the best. And if you don't think it's the best, then you're wrong.
It's okay to be wrong.
Yes, it's okay to be wrong. So we get a back and forth between Garrison and Phoenix. Later on, a super kick by Penta, running Hurricane Rana by Pillman, which looked pretty nice. Sling Blade by Penta, springboard dropkick by Phoenix. At one point, Phoenix is able to hit his roll through cutter, which looks really clean. Pillman is able to get a springboard dropkick to knock Penta off of the apron at one point. Stereo dropkicks at the end of the ramp by the Lucha Bros. And so they do an assisted suicide tope by Phoenix and the Varsity Blondes are seated on the end of the ramp.
Mm-hmm.
So basically he goes to the ropes and Penta kind of guides him to the Varsity Blondes.
Yeah, it looked cool.
Pretty cool.
Especially on the replay, it looked like Penta was helping project him forward.
Right.
It was cool.
Later on we get a stack powerbomb for 2 by Pillman, which looked cool. Springboard forearm by Garrison, and Pillman covers for 2. Super kicks by Lucha Bros on Pillman, and then they hit an assisted package pile driver by Lucha Bros for the win. Unfortunately, it's not the version where Phoenix is the foot stomp, but it still looked cool. And then post-match, the Bucks kind of try to cause a stir after Jurassic Express come out, just kind of like a pre-match stare down.
Right.
And they get taken out by Lucha Bros and Jurassic Express collectively.
Right. I thought this match was fun, and I thought the finishing sequence was cool. There was one misstep in the middle where there was some sort of little botch and then a DDT by Penta.
Oh, yeah. It was like where he tries to do like the wheelbarrow roll through and
and
the
it
destroyer.
Was awkwardly, but it was a mistake that can easily be forgotten when these guys do so many cool things.
Yeah.
I think the Blondes have a really bright future. They fill a role in the tag division perfectly, kind of as that like mid-card, not quite ready for the title shot yet, but when teams need quality wins, right? They're there. I didn't even mind the aftermath, because sometimes I get tired of all the run-ins and the extra people after, but this sets up like this mutual respect thing now between Lucha Brothers and Jurassic Express, because was it Penta and Jungle Boy hit a suicide dive, right? And then they sort of shared like a moment where they were...
I think it was Phoenix.
Sorry. So it's sort of like now they can go with we respect each other, but we're going to fight to the death sort of thing, which is cool. So yeah, I thought it was a fun match with a cool finish.
Yeah, I thought it was a good TV tag. I was expecting a little better, just I guess maybe, but I still thought it was good. The Lucha Bros finisher was cool, but I much prefer the version where Phoenix kind of comes off the top rope with the double foot stomp.
Me too.
Onto the driver.
It looks devastating.
Right, and then I like how he's able to just like kind of almost bounce off and land on his feet.
Yeah.
I think that looks cool. I think the Lucha Bros have to win this tournament. I think it's criminal they haven't won the titles yet. And, like, they've been here since the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I don't know who's going to win this tournament, to be honest. I think it's between them and Jurassic Express, obviously.
Well, it kind of has to be.
Well, yeah,
them.
I mean, even from when it started, that's what I figured was going to happen.
Jurassic Express just lost, shenanigans or not, and Lucha Bros can't be denied their rightful title reign for much longer. It is rightful. And Penta needs to get a title, man. He should have held, like, 5 titles by now. 3 world titles, a TNT title, and a tag title, but that hasn't happened yet. Maybe all of them at the same time. He's just got 3 AEW world titles for some reason.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like he's in the midst of all 3
reigns. If Jack had the book, this is what you would get, people.
Yes, he would have 3. No, I would give him the AAA title because he's luchador, so that makes sense. Uh-huh. And I would give him the Impact title because Austin Aries kicked him in the balls and took it from him too soon.
Wow, Impact history. Nice.
Yeah, and then the AEW title, and then the TNT title, and the tag title. He would have everything in AEW, and then a couple of other things.
Okay.
Yeah. And Phoenix would get to carry some of the extra belts, and his tag title.
Nice.
Yeah. Next we got a promo from Andrade. Also Chavo. It's mostly Chavo, if I'm being honest. But Chavo says Pac is good, and that's undeniable. And he says both Pac and Andrade are both undeniably good, but only one can be great. And Andrade finishes off by saying they will be face-to-face in Chicago, which I'm glad he told me that because I was kind of curious about that. Whether they'd be face-to-face or not
Or
in their match.
back-to-back.
Right.
Blindfold.
It could be back-to-back. Feet to feet.
I thought this was like the standard promo by these guys at this point. It's short and it's not bad, but there's nothing super exciting. I'm always hoping for something a little bit better. But regardless of the build, this is a match that I would pay to see with no build at all. So this works, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to watch All Out.
I didn't think this was an amazing
Oh, yeah, it works out perfect
segment.
for us because we do start school like this Monday.
Yeah.
But then All Out is on Labor Day weekend for us, which is...
And we get an extended, due to a bizarre schedule, we get an extended Labor Day weekend. So we get 5 days.
So regardless, like, even though it's on a Sunday, which would be a school night now,
Not anymore.
No, so...
Right. Long weekend, baby.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was a short but solid promo from both of them. I'm kind of coming to like Chavo in this role. I think he is, because it works, because he has a similar background to Andrade, like Hispanic or whatever. But he's more comfortable speaking English, so he kind of works as the mouthpiece. So Andrade is able to speak in English in amounts that work for him. Obviously, if we can, Zelina Vega is the way to go, but
of course, they were perfect.
If they can't do that, then I think this is fine.
And Andrade seems to be taking his time and just getting very little bits to say, so I'm finding he's a bit easier to understand, a bit more clarity lately.
Right, and I think Chavo is good, and like that allows him to do that.
Yeah, like a sort of like an 80-20 split, right? Like just give Andrade 20% to say, and these promos are short, so that's not very much.
We get some all-out advertisements, stuff like Paul White, QT Marshall, Omega Cage.
That's gonna put butts in the seats. Oh, here, take my money.
Right, Omega Cage, this Andrade Pac, but one thing I noted is Britt Baker will be defending against Chris Statlander.
Nice.
Which that's kind of new. I think Chris Statlander is I think she's number 1.
Yeah.
Which is why.
And she's not going to win, but I'm hoping the match is good.
I guarantee she's at number 1 or number 5.
Right. That's the only way you get a title shot.
Right.
Top ranked, 5th ranked.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the top and the bottom of the top 5.
That's it.
And related to that, we get next Jamie Hayter with Britt Baker and Rebel, not Reba, versus Red Velvet with nobody.
Poor Red Velvet in this match. She took some heat for that. Anyways, go ahead and talk about it.
Heat for what?
Her botch here near the end.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Was really bad.
And
funny. I like her, so I feel bad. I mean, it happens, but...
competitive, I thought, and also sloppy match.
Right, and you've got the speed versus power, right? As Hayter's a big, strong woman, and Red Velvet is really small, but really quick. So that classic combination.
Luthez press and rapid punches by Velvet. A follow-away slam by Hayter. Corner stomps by Hayter. Snap suplex by Hayter.
Looked good.
2 suicide dives by Velvet, and she gets caught really weird. She lands on Hayter and really flat in a Luthez press position.
Oh, and yeah, she slammed into the floor twice. Hayter, right? The way she took it was.
It looks really unnatural to me. I feel like you're supposed to dive into them and kind of hit them with.
But it looked impactful in a way too. That she sort of did a fast.
I don't
bump.
feel like anyone would land like that. Really.
I don't know. I kind of liked it. It was different.
Hayter sends Velvet into the ring post, which is sold nicely. Reminded me of Mustafa Ali.
She's the best at taking ring post shots right now. She looks incredible.
I remember Mustafa Ali took it and it looked similar. He's really good.
Yeah, he's great at it too.
I think it was when he was facing Orton, one of them. Bad rope rebound lariat by Velvet, one of the kind of missteps.
Yeah.
Velvet takes up Baker, who went up to the apron. Velvet misses a standing moonsault, despite Hayter just laying there. Picture Hayter is just laying there, right, ready for the moonsault, and essentially Velvet moonsaults over her where there's nothing there.
Right, so normally when we say missed a moonsault, it's because the person moved out of the way, but that
Hayter
was not
really
the
just
case.
Lay there.
She just overshot it and missed. It was unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I think she took a lot of abuse on Twitter for that, which is unfortunately the way the world works. But anyways.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing, I feel like that's... You should know
I know,
how to
but
do
who
moonsaults.
doesn't make mistakes at their job, right? Did they need thousands of people ripping on them for it? Probably not.
guess.
We all screw up at our jobs, trust me.
Yeah, Uranagi backbreaker by Hayter and a clothesline by Hayter for the win.
I like the Uranagi backbreaker. The clothesline, it looks good, but I don't know. As a finisher,
I thought Velvet sold it good despite
she
not
did.
being hit that great. You
Right.
know what I mean? If that had been a Walter clothesline and she sold it like that, it would have looked good.
Yep.
But it was
Or
not.
JBL.
Sure.
Um,
Post-match, Statlander does save Velvet from an attack, so that's there, too.
I thought Hayter looked pretty good, and some of her strikes looked stiff, I thought. I do really like Red Velvet generally, but sometimes I feel like she's too fast for her own good, right? Like she's able to move more quickly than she's comfortable completing moves sometimes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which might straighten out as she gets more experience.
Like she can go that fast, but she also can't.
But she can go that, yeah, she can't go that fast and still hit the moves clean. It's sort of what it feels like at this point. But I think she does a really good job of selling. The missed moonsault was really unfortunate, but I liked the finishing combination by Hayter. I didn't even mind the clothesline. I thought the match wasn't great, but it showcased Hayter well enough, and that was sort of the plan, so I guess successful.
Yep. I thought it was okay. It suffered from some weird stuff and some botches. But Velvet did sell a couple things good. Hayter looked fine, I thought, but I don't love the clothesline's finish, especially because it didn't look great. And it doesn't help that I just watched a Walter match pretty recently.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, so fine match, not the best, but I guess, like you said, it accomplished what they needed to do.
Right.
Next we get the Dark Order. Evil Uno, basically, and Alex Reynolds are arguing, kind of like Uno saying, like, they're family, whatever, and kind of Alex kind of chuckles at that. And then Uno kind of accidentally blurts out the line that Alex should just remain in John Silver's shadow. And Alex kind of fires back at Uno, saying, like, just because he has one in his name, referring to Evil Uno.
Right.
That doesn't make him the leader of the Dark Order. Reynolds leaves, and Silver also leaves, and then everyone is sad.
Yeah.
So this is fine, but I really don't like this, because I don't like dissension in the Dark Order. I don't think they need it. I think they have a really cool dynamic that's so rare nowadays. They're really cool as like this babyface family-like faction. And I really hope this is just kind of a bump in the road to maybe make them like kind of like the we're stronger than ever before kind of thing. That's what I'm really holding out hope for, because I think they're really cool. I don't think it needs to end for a while. Maybe like when Hangman comes back from his baby and regains his confidence, maybe he can unite them upon his refocus towards the title.
Right.
I think maybe that's where they could go, because I really don't want them to break up, especially like if Silver and Reynolds leave, because I think they're really good together and in the Dark Order. So I don't know. I really hope this doesn't lead to them actually breaking up, because I don't think that should happen.
Yeah, I'm not going to add too much because you're pretty much saying exactly what I was saying. I didn't like it on the surface. Same thing. I want this to be that one cohesive group in wrestling that just
never has to break up. They don't have to.
And I think same thing. They might recover by saying like, yeah, we all fight within our families, but eventually we make up and we're stronger than ever, sort of thing. So I could see it going either way. I don't think the majority of fans want this either, right? Like an AEW.
No, I think the general consensus is people like the Dark Order.
And AEW tends to listen rather than tell the fans what they like.
And
so
I'm worried a bit, but I think they're smart. I think they will come back together. I really hope it's like Hangman is like he kind of sees what's happening and realizes he has to like take charge now. And maybe this is kind of the arc of he finally like stops being so insecure and kind of like regains confidence and like kind of brings them together and like.
And if you're gonna break somebody out of this group, you would think it's somebody that's sort of like poised for a singles run, and I don't think that's Alex Reynolds, right? So maybe if it's Silver, that would be a bit more believable. But what are you gonna do if you break this guy out of the group? He's part of a tag team, and he's not. Do you know what I mean? He's not positioned like he's gonna have a singles run.
No, it seemed like Silver won with Reynolds, so I feel like they would both break out.
I don't know, because
won't,
they're basically
because that's dumb.
But they were in the insults. They're basically saying that you're just in John Silver's shadow, right? So if he's gonna turn heel, I think it's gonna be directed at Silver partly.
Maybe
for getting all the attention while he got. Anyways, I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but we'll see.
No, none of that should happen because that's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
They should be together. Next, we get CM Punk's first Dynamite appearance.
I've heard of him.
Oh really? I haven't. I was
new guy on the scene out of nowhere.
From the indies. Watching this promo and I was like, you seem to be really happy, but I was like, okay, I had no idea who it was. I was just kind of playing along. But so Shivani introduces Punk. He said, and so after he tries to just wait for the crowd to kind of calm down, he says what brought him back is the talent in AEW, and Penta and Phoenix are mentioned first in the list of people he gives. So
nice.
CM Punk versus Penta.
You approve.
Yes, please. He says he's retiring the nickname Voice of the Voiceless because people have a voice here. That's very true.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He says he looks at Darby and the rest of the roster and asks if he can still go. I hope so. He says if the answer is yes, it starts with Darby Allin. That is true. He says Darby looks like he would have been his favorite wrestler when he was 15, and he breaks the mold, basically. I wonder why he would have been his favorite when he was 15, not when he was 14.
He just picked an age, man. Maybe you're thinking about it too deeply.
Punk asked the questions again, and like can I still go? Do I still have it? and the fans do yes chants, and Punk says that's someone else's shtick, and they'll have to be more patient. Ooh. And then he signs off by saying he loves his wife.
Right.
Ooh.
So I always qualify everything by saying I'm not really a Punk fan. And I say that in these cases to actually be more complimentary, right? Because I'm not somebody that just loves everything Punk does. I'm a little critical of Punk at some points. But rarely do you get a guy that can hold the crowd in the palm of their hands like this guy can. The Rock could do it, Austin could do it, and Punk can do it. I think Eddie Kingston is the best at like feeling real and making me believe everything, but Punk can work a crowd a little bit differently, like very few people in wrestling history can. So if he is truly here to help the next generation, which that's the part where I'm like, I don't know, Punk's generally in things for Punk, right? So maybe he's had a change he is here to help people, but he is not above embracing this as a gimmick.
He's gonna help people, but like also to benefit himself. Like he'll perhaps, like for example, be TNT champion, but maybe use that to, because you don't have to like lose to people to make them look good.
No,
he
not
can
at all.
Make people look in defeat.
And that's
right?
what
so maybe that's the thing.
So that's what I'm saying. He'll be a huge asset if he's going to put people over, and it's not even about in ring. His promo skills alone can make guys bigger stars than they already are, right? And then if we're lucky, the matches will be strong too if he's still really good in the ring.
I don't think he's that much older than he was when he left, so I think he should still be good.
I think it was kind of hard not to like this promo, and I did like it, even though I'm not the biggest Punk fan in the world. I mean, the guy's amazing on the mic, and the crowd loves him, and he knows how to work the crowd, so this was good.
Yeah. I thought it was a solid promo from Punk. I like the mentions of guys like Lucha Bros, because that would be some good matches. I also like the teasers for Brian and AJ Lee, as both are welcome for me. I think Brian, he would put over guys. He would have some amazing matches. I think AJ Lee would be a good addition to his still somewhat lackluster women's division, and I think she's still probably got something.
Does she even want to wrestle? I haven't heard anything.
I don't even know, but I feel like there was a kind of a tease, and if she wants to, I feel like this would be the place, because Punk is back now.
Yes,
I feel like that kind of helps, and I think like it would be good if it happened. I also like him putting over Darby. I'm quite looking forward to that match. Miro promo next. He says Fuego took the easy way in, but there is another. He says he forgives Fuego, but he will find Eddie Kingston and drag him under. He wants him to bring him the Mad King before he tears the place down. Yeah,
so this had a slightly different look to it this week, just to switch it up, I think, because it's been pretty similar. And there was no line in there that made me laugh this week, but I thought it's still a good promo, and I'm excited to see him face Kingston, because Kingston will have so much babyface love from the crowd, and he's just going to he'll let Miro kill him for parts of this match too, right? So I assume Miro's going to beat the hell out of Kingston. Kingston will generate some massive sympathy, and it'll be a fun match to watch, I think.
Yeah. I thought it was another good promo from Miro. I do like the callback, as Eddie Kingston did kind of take the easy way in. He was one of those guys to accept the TNT title open challenge from Cody Rhodes last year, and then now he's in.
Yep.
And with that logic, Miro could also go after Ricky Starks, but I guess Stark is a heel, so...
Yeah. Although I don't know if Miro cares at this point. He's willing to fight anyone, probably.
Yeah, but I do like that he's kind of like... And I feel like it's similar to the thing Mox was saying last week that we really liked, and it's like... that it's been so easy for these guys to get in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like they're kind of annoyed with that.
Yep.
So I kind of like that. Next, we get a trios match between Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, and Eddie Kingston, and the Wingmen, which is represented by Brian Nemeth, Cesar Bononi, and JD Drake, wearing the worst ring attire I've ever seen this side of Andrade.
Remember when back in the beginning and I said there were some lower card people on this show? Here's Exhibit A. We got the Wingmen in a match.
And I still don't understand why Mox and Kingston are teaming with Allin again, but...
I thought Mox looked really exhausted when he made his entrance, and I'm wondering if that's like being a new dad, right? And probably not getting a lot of... Like, he looked tired to me, man.
Oh, right, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought this was a short trios match for TV that was fairly one-sided, as expedited. That's what mine says.
Expedited?
Yeah, instead of expected. I don't know why I corrected to that, but...
Yeah, and JD Drake, who's sold as this like blue collar whatever, is now wearing like dress pants and a dress shirt
and an overall.
So I thought that was
suspenders.
Thought that was a strange choice.
Yeah, because we've seen him in wrestling gear before.
But then again, anytime I see a sudden change like that, I'm like, it was probably an internet story that I didn't see and they didn't tell me, so I don't care.
Back and forth between Allin and Drake, chopped by Kingston to Nemeth, double shoulder tackle by Mox and Kingston on Bononi. Kitchen sink knee and Uranagi to Drake by Kingston. I like the Uranagi. Allen hits a pretty nice avalanche code red to Drake. Mox and Kingston take out everybody. A pop-out stunner on Drake by Darby. And a coffin drop on Drake for the win by Allen. And after the match, Garcia gets a quick attack on Allen and runs off because Mox and Kingston and Sting were attacking the wingmen.
Right. So I don't really understand the point of this, but I think this was supposed to be 2.0 in this, so that would have made more sense.
Which makes less sense because they already did that.
I don't know, but I guess this was to set up the attack from Garcia, which lasted like 10 seconds. Regardless of the point of this, I didn't really like it. There was lots of moving parts and chaos with nothing really happening. One team that's completely irrelevant. I thought it was an odd 6-man basically squash match where Mox did next to nothing, right? I feel like AEW has too many groups at the level of the wingman. And by that, I mean really low levels. So there's going to be a few more of those coming out, I think, on this show. But yeah, I did not really care for this that much.
Yeah, this is okay, but really served little purpose, I think. I still don't understand why Mox and Kingston or Darby are teaming together. I thought it was just for that one match against Garcia and 2.0, which felt like just like a crowd hype kind of match.
Right.
And this wasn't as fast-paced or interesting as that, and it didn't really seem to have any purpose. So, I don't know, I didn't love it.
Yeah, I was confused a bit too.
Next, we get the announcement of the Women's Casino Battle Royale. It will be on the All Out buy-in, so maybe that's a reason to watch that.
Yeah, I would, actually.
Next we got an interview with Tay Conti.
Yay, she's back.
Yeah, that's good. She is going to be in that match, and another participant in the match comes to interrupt, and it's Bunny. She asks Conti why she's hanging out with the losers in the Dark Order, which she is affiliated with them, but she hasn't really been
My
around.
question was, when was the last time she was even seen with them?
I don't remember.
Or was it on the internet? That's my question, right? If I missed something, probably on the internet, and they didn't remind me.
I don't even know.
I don't know
Bunny
either.
offers Conti a spot in HFO. Says they could work together in Casino Battle Royale and be an actual family. Conti rips up the contract and they have a brief ball, which is separated by the refs. And I don't know, just quick opinion. I thought it was fine, but didn't really make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, it does set up a match on Rampage, and then I guess something into the Battle Royale, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see Conti back. I think she's possibly my most improved wrestler that I can think of, maybe her and Raquel Gonzalez. And I think she should be a bigger focus in their women's division going forward. And it looks like Bunny, I think this is just like, here's your welcome back, Tay Conti, and we need to get you a match that you can win. And I think that's a good role for Bunny, right? So just as sort of almost enhancement talent at this point. So I'm okay with it. I thought this was fine.
Yeah. Next we get Dax. What I thought was a Dax Harwood promo, but Cash doesn't come in to speak as well. Dax says he's not sure if FTR will come back full-time or even part-time. Cash then appears and says they need one more match so they can get their pound of flesh, because where he comes from, you rub a little dirt on your wounds and you keep going. I thought it was a solid promo. I hope Cash is good to go so we can get this grudge match.
Right.
And I think this is, because they do reveal later and it's just a standard match. I think this is going to be powerful, get their win back. Hopefully we get some sort of interesting grudge match. I really hope they do either another parking lot brawl or like some sort of tornado tag match that they seem to be really good at.
Yeah, I love those. Every now and then. So I thought there was a different tone from these guys here, right? They almost felt like baby faces. It was the whole, we got a serious injury, there's some concern about our future, but we're at least going to have one more match. But I still liked the promo. I thought it was short, straightforward. These guys are both pretty good on the mic at this point, especially, I was going to call him Dax. And AEW loves to show clips from that injury, don't they?
Yeah, it's almost kind of annoying.
And it's a bad one, so I don't know. Right. I'm hoping that it's just storyline, that there's like a possibility that they might not be a team going forward or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine eventually.
Yeah, me too. So I don't know. I thought this was fine, but a different tone for them for sure.
Yeah. Next we get a promo from Omega and Callis. Callis says they will end Christian Cage once and for all out. Says they, not Kenny. So Cage does come out because they wanted to make me suffer. Cage says the crowd may have had a few drinks, but that's not to believe what Callis is saying. Cage shows a video that shows what Callis is talking about, hiring Cage for his first national TV gig, I think it was, but then failing to mention the firing him afterwards part, which I thought that was kind of cool.
Right.
Cage says what he was talking about, and Callis is a kind of piece of bad word. Omega says that just proves he was a better athlete at 10 than Cage at 20, and nothing has changed.
That was a good line.
That was pretty funny.
Yep.
And Cage says he doesn't know what's worse, Cal's manipulating a 10-year-old boy, or adult Omega still allowing it.
That was a good line too.
Cal says Cage will find out at All Out. That when Cage stands next to Omega, he will be what he has always been, second best. That's
line
true.
as well.
Cage attacks Omega and gets overwhelmed until Kaz makes a save. Wonder if that'll be anything.
And they had the jacket wrapped around Christian's head, and Cutler was still using the cold, spraying the cold spray, which made me laugh. I like this segment a lot. I think everybody talking in this got at least one good line, and it was a perfect length of this segment. I thought Christian, whose promos I have issues with sometimes, and I will tell you when I do, I thought he was really good here. I thought this was a very good segment.
Yeah, solid promo from Cal and Omega. I thought Cage was fine as well. There were some good lines to be found for sure. I'm just not super invested in this feud and Christian Cage here as a whole. Omega could be doing much better things right now than feuding Christian Cage with the roster they have, but here we are.
Yep.
Next, we get a promo from Jonathan Moxley. Mox says there's only one guy with the balls to face him from New Japan. He says he knows who it wasn't, referring to Tanahashi, and it was Satoshi
Kojima.
Kojima.
Yep.
Mox says it'll be a treat for Chicago, and he says because Kojima's a legend, he basically says Kojima's a death wish to face him. Mox says he has no respect when the bell rings, and he's trying to break him. Mox says that All Out, it'll be an execution of Satoshi Kojima.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny because he spent the first part putting over Kojima, and then he basically calls him an old man a bit later. But another strong Mox promo, right? Like, what can you say? He can instantly add interest to a match and put the other guy over in the process. This match will be a slugfest because that's kind of Kojima's style too. So these guys will beat on each other. I am sure it might be interesting to watch. Kojima was just an Impact. I watched him there a little while ago. I forget already who he faced, but
he was teaming with Eddie Edwards and then faced Eddie Edwards.
I like how you didn't watch it and you remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kojima, I mean, he's not in his prime, but he can still put on a slugfest, I'm sure.
Solid promo from Mox. I'm not super thrilled about this match, and I would much rather Tanahashi, but it could still be decent. I feel like they're going a little too much with All Out. Like, get rid of White and QT, honestly.
Yeah, of course. I'm on board for that.
Right,
Definitely.
and I would rather,
that match better be no longer than 2 minutes. If it's
Yeah.
longer than 2 minutes, I'm going to be annoyed.
Next,
They get 2 minutes of my time, and that's it.
Speaking of them and also annoying, we get the Gun Club versus the Factory.
Remember at the beginning of this, I said there was a lot of lower tier talent? Here's exhibits B and C.
Description, quite frankly boring but at least short trios match that seem to have little to absolutely zero purpose. And for notables, let's see. Oh, I have 5.
Go ahead. Hit us with all 5.
Shoulder tackle to Billy by Komoroto. Flip over facebuster by Austin. A cheap shot by QT. Flurry of clotheslines off a hot tag by Colton, who I think he has a weird face.
Wow, that's
corner
not nice.
splashes by Colton. And back flatliner by QT. I also think he has weird tights.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And QT taunts to Paul Way on commentary, gets rolled up by Colton with a small package for the win for the Gun Club.
Yeah, this is 2 more groups at the level of the Wingmen and the Hardy, whatever. What are they called? The Hardy.
Family Office.
There you go.
I think you can give HFO some credit. They're a little above the Wingmen.
Maybe. My note says Hardy Party, but I guess that's not what they are. So many low card groups. But then again, when you have a lot of factions at the top, they need somebody to beat, I guess, right? So the 2 of them facing each other, though, seems a bit unnecessary to me. I thought
these 2 factions are interconnected. They will never not be facing each other.
I thought this was another pointless match on this show, which doesn't usually happen on Dynamite.
Doesn't bode well.
But at least it was very, very short. So there's the plus side.
Yeah, I thought this was lame. It was short. It was boring. It was useless. At least it was short, I guess.
Yep.
Top that with the fact I do not care about Paul White QT. I don't want to see that match, and I really didn't like this.
Right.
It was just kind of there for no reason.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Next we get Dan Lambert, another Dan Lambert promo. This time with the Men of the Year, which is Scorpio Sky and
Interesting. Kind of out of nowhere, right?
Ethan Page, I guess building on last week. Lambert says the rule number 1 of business is to know your customer. Lambert says it's the fans' fault because they pay to see things like Guevara propose and Darby Allin opposed to real men. Lambert roasts fans, including the crying CM Punk guy, which has kind of been a thing lately.
Yeah.
Lambert says men like Page and Sky will fight for the fans, and he hopes there's still a chance for the fans. He also kind of mentions they have MMA backgrounds or whatever.
Yes.
And Page is Taekwondo. I thought this was a much better promo and better use of Lambert. There were some good lines. This was just generally better and a much better way of presenting his kayfabe view.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it just worked better.
Yeah, I thought this was a much better use of Lambert as well. He can cut really good promos. He's doing that like I'm the old school wrestling fan. I'm Jim Cornette light kind of thing is what
Yeah.
he's doing. I really like the clarification for aligning with the Men of the Year because when I saw them on screen, I'm like, MMA guy, this doesn't make sense. But then I didn't know Scorpio Sky had any sort of MMA
I
background.
didn't even know Paige had any.
Yeah, remember he did his on his way out of Impact.
I thought that was just a dumb thing.
No, he's a black belt in Taekwondo and Karate. I think he's like a double black belt.
How come he doesn't?
He's a
ever
legit
use that?
martial artist. My only issue with this is that Paige is one of the last people on the roster to need somebody to speak for him. So I hope that he still gets mic time during this affiliation with Lambert too. Regardless, I much prefer Lambert working with actual contracted AEW talent.
No, yeah, this was much better
than bringing in MMA people that I personally have barely heard of. So it seems like a sudden change in direction because it almost felt like he was bringing in MMA people to invade. But I'm really happy they switched directions if that's what it was because I like this quite a lot actually.
Yep. So some stuff for Dynamite next week. Brian Cage versus Will Hobbs. That should be a decent Hobbs fight. They actually did face before when the roles were reversed and Hobbs was not in Team Taz and Cage was the FTW champion. Remember they had a solid Hobbs fight for the FTW title. So that could be good. That has potential. We also have Orange Cassidy versus Jack Evans, which, I mean,
could be fun.
That we know what happens, but that could be decent.
Mm-hmm.
We get FTR versus Proud and Powerful, so we're getting that grudge match. That should be good.
Yep.
JR will interview Jericho, and Shivani will interview MJF, kind of for the big match, because this is the Go Home show.
That's right.
Next week.
Yeah.
And later on announced, like, not on the show, but I think through social media and whatnot, I was telling you about it. The Super Elite, represented by the Bucks and the Good Brothers, will take on Lucha Bros and Jurassic Express.
Nice.
Which, that should be pretty cool, too. I could see that being either a hot opener or the main event.
Yep.
And Rampage this Friday, which will now have been yesterday. Ty Conti versus Bunny, Lucha Bros Jurassic Express in the tournament finals of the Eliminator tournament, and Omega and Cutler versus Cage and Kaz.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next we get a quick Arn Anderson interview before the main event. Arn says he and everyone knows Brock is in over his head. They really love to say that. Just in case you didn't know who was winning, they need to tell you.
Yep.
Arn says good doesn't always prevail, and Brock will have to pull something big to win. I highly doubt Brock will pull anything. He's going to get destroyed.
Yeah, I thought Arn was good here, right? He's the concerned dad trying to let his son make his own choices, but like very afraid that his son is going to get murdered on live TV. So I thought Arn was fine.
That's
here.
exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Black will literally have a knife in his boot, so that when he hits a black mass, he stabs him in the
Maybe
face.
that's what it is,
I
a
think
loaded
that's
boot.
What's going to happen, yeah. So next we got our main event, Brock Anderson versus Malachi Black.
Remember at the beginning of the show where I said that there was a lot of low card talent on this episode? This is
Are you
Exhibit
gonna keep
D.
saying that?
That's the last chance I get. There it is.
Brock could not look more boring and average in his entrance. It's just his tights are boring. His theme is boring. He walks out like just with the most monotone look on his face.
He looks like when it's the 80s in WWE or whatever, and they just bring in local talent for a squash match.
He looks like local talent.
That's what it feels like.
I was thinking he's an interesting physique, and you said he's a skinny fat guy.
It's unfortunate. Yes, he's not really fat, but he's not actually in shape either.
And I find from the sides it's got like this weird curve.
But anyways, it's fine. Not everybody can be Lex Luger, you know?
I don't even want to be Lex Luger.
No, I wouldn't either. The number of substances pumping through that body did not do him any favors.
Who's super ripped? I know.
A lot of people.
Like Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Back in his prime, he's not as ripped now as he was when he was.
Or prime Seth Rollins in like 2019.
Anyways.
So description. Yeah, it was a short one-side match. I literally have 4 notables. So.
Hit it.
Brock starts quick with the takedown and punches, but Black comes back with the jumping knee strike already. Not good.
Yeah.
Should have been a Black mass and over, but Arn throws down the white towel and Black suggests he pick it up. That's not even about the match. There's essentially 3 notables. Brock uses the distraction, hits some shots to the leg, an exploder suplex by Black, and a Black mass for the win. Post-match, Black grabs a steel chair, throws away the steel chair. Arn blocks the Black mass, but then gets kicked in the balls and hit with the Black mass. Anyways.
But he sells that the Black mass even hurt his arms when it got blocked.
I guess.
Yeah.
Lee Johnson walks out and Black leaves the ring, which made me mad because it's Lee Johnson. How intimidating could that be?
Yeah, I thought that was strange.
What are your thoughts?
I think Black's entrance, first of all, is really cool because like the lights go off, come back up, and he's in a different spot sort of thing, which is cool. And I love that they're hyping him as this hybrid wrestler because he's kind of got the kickboxing background and martial arts and whatever. So I don't really have a problem with this match, but I have a problem with it being positioned as the main event.
Because that's not what it is.
It did make Black look badass, I guess. But why is he even in the orbit of people like Anderson and Lee Johnson at this point? I guess it's just to sort of keep establishing him as a dominant force.
Until Cody comes back, so because I guess they're selling the whatever happened at Homecoming.
To me, he's already a known quantity, right? I don't need to be introduced to him or...
I think few people actually need to be introduced to him, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. So I'm confused by some of the choices made here. I think it was supposed to be a little bit more dramatic with Arn protecting his son and then getting kicked, but I don't know. It didn't feel that super dramatic to me. So I get them booking this match. I don't get them positioning it as the last thing I see on Dynamite.
Yeah, this is fine. Pretty much what I expected. Brock got too much offense, though. It should have just been one and done Black Mass. Brock and Arn both took a Black Mass. I feel no one in AEW has done it justice so far in terms of selling it. Like,
I would have liked Arn Anderson to throw the towel in the second the bell rang, and then Black still kicks his son anyways and just leaves.
That would have been good.
That's kind of what I would have liked to see,
I just feel
right?
like there's been some good sells of it, and I haven't seen anyone really do it justice.
Yeah, so I think it would have been cool if he tries to save his son, and his son suffers anyways, and he didn't even get an official match.
Right, because Black wanted Brock to do the forfeit, like the count-out forfeit.
Yes.
Black leaving the ring after Lee Johnson, of all people, came to the ring made him look really stupid, as did Arn Anderson kind of blocking the Black Mass. He's old. It should have, I guess it did kind of hurt his arms, but
it isn't the best that the first person to ever block the Black Mass is whatever aged Arn Anderson. Right. I would agree.
And then he did get hit with one in the face, but...
And man, speaking of Arn Anderson, I've been telling you I've been watching Nitro 95. Every night I watch one episode, basically. Arn Anderson's so good, and it's all of the little things that guy does, man. He is a fantastic... Because it's Four Horsemen at this point that I'm watching with... him, Flair, Pillman, and Benoit.
I think Benoit.
And Arn Anderson is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He's really cool.
So thoughts on the show as a whole?
Overall, I didn't love this episode as much as many that I do. In ring, I thought it was really lacking, but outside of the ring, I thought it was pretty strong, which always makes it kind of tough to grade.
It kind of evens out, right?
Yeah, in ring, a few notches below the usual with matches tonight, because you get matches featuring, listen to this lineup, Matt Hardy, Red Velvet, even though I like her, Jamie Hayter, just because she's kind of new, Wingmen, Gun Club, and The Factory, right? The only match that
Brock
I cared...
Anderson?
Yeah, that too. The only match I cared about at all was kind of the Lucha Brothers and the Varsity Blondes, and I wouldn't even... It's not even like Varsity Blondes are like main event caliber guys
and that didn't even blow me away as much as I was expecting.
No, segment-wise, though, I thought the show was really strong. Good CM Punk promo, strong MJF Jericho segment despite my fatigue with that storyline. Dark Order teasing some dissension, solid Miro promo, solid Mox promo, good in-ring segment with the Elite and Christian, and I also like the Lambert union with sort of, what are they called? The Men of the Year. And
let's
the
just
Malachi
listen to the theme, it's pretty good.
The Malachi Black promo was also really good. So for me, below average in-ring, above average maybe segments, so adds up to a B- for me. A watchable show with some entertaining segments, but not a lot of consequential in-ring content this week.
Yeah.
So below average show, I thought.
So yeah, I thought Cassidy versus Hardy was a fine match, but Hardy getting busted open was cool visual. Not an ideal opener for Dynamite though. Black's promo was good, and I like him. I thought Jericho's promo segment was fine, but I'm mad they're kind of ignoring the stipulation from last week's match despite acknowledging it, but it basically feels like it was ignored. Lucha Bros vs. Varsity Blondes is probably my favorite match of the show. It was solid, but and with a predictable outcome, and I was expecting a little better, which is my only issue with it, really. Andrade and Chavo's promo was good, and I thought Jamie Hayter looked fine in her return match, but I didn't love some of the botches there. I didn't love the Dark Order segment just because it was fine as a segment, but I don't like that they're teasing any sort of split up in the Dark Order, because I don't think they need it to do that. It should be temporary, at least.
Right.
CM Punk's promo was pretty good, I thought, and I liked a couple of teases that he put in there. Miro had a good promo, and I thought he would attack Kingston after the trios match that we got, but that didn't happen. I think that happened on Rampage, actually. Or Kingston came out on Rampage. The trios match itself wasn't super interesting from an in-ring standpoint. It seemed to be fairly pointless. I liked the promos from FTR and Omega, and Callis and Cage. But it was, and Cage was just okay in the segment, I thought. but there were good lines.
Yep.
Mox's promo was good per the usual. I'm kind of disappointed with Kojima, but whatever. Gun Club Factory was lame and pointless. I like Lambert's promo from last week and the first one. The main event was pretty much what expected, but I didn't love the aftermath, really.
Yeah.
Overall, solid show. I graded a little higher. I went with a B.
Nice.
On the low end, I would
That's fair.
say.
Closer to a B- than a B+.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so that's going to end our Dynamite review, and we'll move into talking about some other wrestling stuff in the segment that we so cleverly call Any Other Wrestling Business. All right, so let's talk some Impact Wrestling from this week. The show starts with a recap of the number one contenders match from Emergence that saw Ace Austin win, that I'm pretty happy about. So I did not get time to cover that event on a podcast. I apologize. It was my plan. But basically, I can tell you that the Josh Alexander, Jake something match was fantastic. I highly recommend you go out and see that. The rest of the show was solid, but that was definitely the highlight for me. There's my quick review of it. So then we get highlights of the main event where Christian successfully defended the Impact title against Brian Myers from last week. And then we'd move right into our first match, which is Sami Callihan versus Chris Sabin. So there's a fast start even before the bell on this one as Sabin hits a suicide dive to the floor. And Sami's still getting a babyface reaction. He's sort of doing his anti-hero thing right now. And they're chanting Death Machine. The crowd, again, it's tiny but very vocal and very, like, they're having a really good time. Back and forth match with Sami taking shortcuts, Sabin using his quickness. Sabin kicks out of Sami's piledriver, counters the package piledriver, ends up hitting his cradle shock for the win. Moose then runs in, takes out Sabin, spears Sami before getting a chair and a bat out from under the ring. So he sets up to do what Sami Callihan did to Eddie Edwards in the past. And somewhat ironically, Eddie Edwards runs out with his kendo stick to save Sami Callihan here. I thought this was a good opening match for Impact. It got quite a bit of time by Impact standards. Sami's anti-hero character seems to be going really well. The crowd, at least the ones that show up for the show, are quite into it. Both of these guys are good in the ring. It kind of puts Sabin in an odd spot because he's always a babyface and nobody was rooting for him in this. Like, the crowd was firmly behind Callihan, so it kind of made it weird for Sabin.
Right.
Eddie saving Sami from the fate he had at Sami's hands earlier is a little bit interesting too, and I thought it was a good start to this episode. We then get Gia Miller talking to Taylor Wilde, and Taylor has requested a 3-on-1 match tonight against Tenille, Caleb, and Madison Rayne. Her logic is they're not going to leave her alone and stop attacking her anyways, so she may as well just request a match against all of them and get it over with. Then she sort of says, basically implying that Caleb can't decide if he wants to fight her or FaceTime her, and so she looks into the camera and asks Caleb to stop FaceTiming her, which was entertaining. So I guess this was fine, but I really don't think Taylor Wilde's delivery was good. The line about the FaceTiming was good, but her delivery is not. We get one of many NWA Empower promos that come up next, and then we're back to Gia as she's talking to Eddie Edwards. Sami Callihan interrupts. Eddie says that they have now helped each other out and he wants nothing else now that they are done. And the segment quickly ends as Sami asks Eddie if he wants a hug, basically. So this was a short segment just setting up that Eddie wants nothing to do with Sami, even if he is being attacked, basically saying, don't come save me, don't help me out, you helped me out, I helped you, we're even now. Fine, really quick little segment. Mickie James then heads to the ring in a leopard print catsuit. I thought was worth noting.
Oof.
Was kind of an interesting choice. So she hypes up NWA Empower as well, thanks to fans and her team that helped her. I think it was Gail Kim, and I forget who the other person she referred to. She talks about Deonna Purrazzo facing her dear friend, meaning Mickey's dear friend, not Deanna's dear friend, Melina, and how great that match will be. I disagree. They play a video package focusing on Purrazzo and her dominant reign with some comments from Melina mixed into it. Purrazzo then comes out with the Drama King, whose name I can never remember.
Matthew Raywald.
There you go.
How do I know that?
That's gonna be your job going. I just can't. There's literally I have some brain malfunction where I will call him Drama King forever. I promise. So anyways, Drama King comes out. Virtuosa chants are from the crowd now. Deonna says she's stealing the spotlight from Mickie James, since James has done it to her twice recently. Deonna takes shots at Mickie, predicts an easy victory over Melina. Deonna and Mickie sort of go back and forth. Things quickly escalate. The Drama King steps in. Trey Miguel quickly runs down to take out the Drama King. Melina ends up hitting her finisher. I think that's what it was as the segment ends. So this segment was far too long for me, and I'm starting to find it kind of strange how much time and energy Impact is putting into promoting a pay-per-view for another company. I'm not sure what Impact's getting out of this sort of union, but I guess we'll see. I don't think the match will be very good, and that would be Melina's fault because I think Purrazzo's excellent, but I do not have a lot of faith in Melina at this point. And I guess at the bottom line is they're setting up some sort of Trey Drama King program going forward, so whatever. But I thought this segment was very long and mostly unnecessary. Myers is giving advice to Sam Beal in one of his, it's chapter 31 of his, like, I forget what they're called, but basically the most professional wrestlers.
How to be the most professional wrestler or whatever.
So this one is about gear selection. And basically it's focused on him showing Beal how to cut sleeves off of a t-shirt to show off the biceps.
That would be pretty helpful because I know Adam Cole always does that. I swear to God.
But then Beal's basically like, I can just buy shirts that don't have sleeves on them, right? Sort of thing. So Beal wants to talk about Myers losing his title match, but Myers just keeps talking about sleeves. The segment ends with Beal wearing a sleeveless t-shirt that's also cut into a crop top as he says he feels like Stevie Richards, which was a pretty good reference because he does look similar with that shirt. Myers gives him one of the sleeves he cut off to wear as a headband as Myers announces an open casting call. So I don't know why, but I still enjoy the dynamic between these two. It's like Beal is this naive rookie trying to help his mentor to talk through the loss he just had, and Myers trying to avoid the topic and just not wanting to talk about it because he's like the delusional heel that probably doesn't even want to admit that he lost. So I don't exactly know what a casting call means. I guess it could mean that they're adding someone to their group, or is there new talent arriving to the company, or both. I guess we'll see going forward. So I thought this was okay. I'm sure a lot of people don't like this. For some reason, I like the dynamic between these two. We then get a next match, which is Chris Bay versus David Finlay. So Finlay obviously has this long, bitter feud with Jay White of the Bullet Club, and I guess Chris Bay is sort of acting as the gatekeeper to that because he's in the Bullet Club. So Finlay maybe has to get through him first, I guess.
I think they already had the match, White and Finlay.
They did? Oh, yeah. It was at, sorry, you're right.
Resurgence,
right. So this is him continuing with the Bullet Club, I guess. So this is speed versus speed. In this one, commentary even pointed out, and Finlay is honestly a lot faster than he looks. Like, if you look at him, you're not going to go like, oh, this guy's a speed guy. He looks like just kind of your overall wrestler, but he's really quick. So somehow Bay turns a Finlay cravat into a suplex. Commentary were impressed with it too. It looked pretty neat. Bay goes for the art of finesse later, and Finlay shoves him off the ropes to the floor. Lots of near falls for Finlay as he lands top rope offense in a Uranagi backbreaker, which I think looks pretty cool all the time. Mm-hmm. Bay ends up winning this with a nifty sort of corner escape and a roll up with his feet up on the ropes because he's a heel in the Bullet Club and they cheat.
Well, and he's a finesser.
He is the ultimate finesser. Finlay is heading towards So again, this was Bullet Club sort of having issues with Finlay. I thought this was another entertaining match to start out this show. Both of these guys looked good. This match had a really nice pace to it, and I'm really happy to see Chris Bay win, even if it's by cheap Bullet Club methods, because Bay should be like the future of this company. I think I say it every week, so I like to see him doing well. We then get Rich Swann and Willie Mack. They're backstage. They're basically okay with their emergence results. They didn't win, but they also didn't take the pinfall. So Swann challenges the Good Brothers to a title match against the Real Soldiers of Impact. Actually, just a match. I don't know if he said title. It ends up being non-title.
I think I've seen it. It's non-title.
The match ends up being non-title, but I don't remember if Swann asked for a title match. Right. That might just be my mistake in my note-taking. I thought this was a solid promo from Swann. I do find he sounds insincere sometimes, but not during this more serious one, so it was good by Swann standards. Gia then talks to Josh Alexander. She congratulates him on winning at Emergence and asks him what's next. So Alexander briefly puts over Jake something, because that match was awesome, before saying that he will carry the Impact banner into the future, and he issues a challenge to any former X Division champions for next week. So again, This might open the door for returning talent. I'm hoping, right? I mean, there are former X Division people obviously on the roster currently, but I'm kind of hoping they bring someone back for something new.
Yeah.
And it was a straightforward promo by
Kaz maybe could come back again.
I guess.
I mean, we just returned, but I mean, like that.
Doug Williams. Is he still wrestling? I don't know. I liked him, actually.
I'm trying to think if there's anyone.
I thought this was a straightforward promo by a fighting babyface champion. And I thought because this is after now the end of the first hour, basically, I thought a really good first hour of Impact. I was happy at this point. We'll see how it goes. So Christian heads to the ring to speak to the fans after sort of defending his title against Myers at Emergence. He's now focusing on Ace Austin. But then a fan basically yells that Ace Austin sucks, and Christian really got thrown off here, and I almost feel like he forgot his lines and just kind of didn't say much after that. It was kind of strange. And Tommy Dreamer makes his way down to the ring. Christian asks about Dreamer's hair, which I think is a fair question because it's still growing out from his animal haircut. And Dreamer is now okay apparently with an AEW guy having the title because Christian cares so much about everybody, he says. Because he had major issues with Omega having it, right? We can't, it's somebody not even in but now it's Christian.
Oh, but he
okay.
used to be here.
Right. And he's nice about it.
Yeah.
He then continues to praise Christian's work for all he's done for wrestling, and they share a hug.
He hasn't done that much. I mean, TLC, but that's it.
Dreamer implies, or kind of says, he wants an opportunity to wrestle Christian, and that he's going to try and earn it. Ace Austin interrupts the love-in and introduces himself to Christian, says he's the guy that will become the youngest Impact champion ever. He's a prodigy and better than Dreamer on his best day, which I thought Austin did a pretty good job here.
Oh, I would love it if Ace Austin beat Christian. That'd be the best.
He says Christian has been traveling the road, but his bag is about to get 10 pounds lighter, which I thought was a cool little line too. Christian puts over Austin's talent, but says as long as he's around, Ace won't win. He then, of course, because he worked for WWE for so many years, guess what kind of joke he makes at Austin's expense?
A small joke.
Yeah, that Austin is really short and can barely see over the ropes or something. Ugh. Grown.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Why would you need to see over the ropes when you can see through the ropes?
And so Austin immediately attacks off of this. Dreamer and Christian clear the ring. I thought this was a fine segment. Dreamer is kind of good in this role as the grizzled veteran looking for one more run. I'm not sure I need to see any more of Dreamer matches, but we'll see where it goes. I would love, as you would, to see Austin take the title from Christian.
That would be the bestest.
But with Dreamer setting up a match for himself in the future, it seems unlikely.
But Austin is facing him at Victory Road.
Yes.
So maybe Dreamer will earn it before that.
You'll see. It's coming up, I think. They'll add some details, I think, to this. So I hated the short joke, obviously, but Christian's a WWE guy, and he just can't help himself. It's kind of all he knows, I guess, at this point. Violent by Design promo about the sickness. Young is blaming Rhino now specifically for losing the titles, the tag team titles, and the rematch. He tells him the answer is violence, and Rhino will be washed in the holy waters of change. So again, these vignettes and things are cool, but their actions don't really match their words, right? Because basically what this means is they're just going to put a beat down on Rhino, and this is supposed to fix him. But these beatings to cleanse these guys haven't really worked too much. They can't rise above mid-card level for more than they had a brief tag team title run.
Which they only got because of a Money in the Bank thing.
Right, so I don't know if his purging of the sickness is going very well. The promos are cool, but the actions don't really back it up. So Gia then stops Ace Austin as he's walking backstage, but he continues right past her as D'Amore is just off screen. So he walks up to D'Amore, and he says he wants Dreamer next week. D'Amore is back in smug mode here as the babyface authority figure. He smugly grants his wish, but adds that if Dreamer wins, the championship match becomes a triple threat with Dreamer added to it. So please don't make this a triple threat. An Austin Christian match really has potential to be good.
Mostly because of Austin, not because of Christian.
However, here's the silver lining. Maybe they want Christian to lose without being pinned. And that this could get us where Austin pins Dreamer. I doubt it.
Because what does Dreamer have to lose?
I feel that Christian's winning and they want the title on him for a bit longer, but that's my hope, right? Is that okay?
That's not a bad theory.
Right? I gotta have hope.
What does Dreamer have to lose from that, right?
You gotta have hope. And then Christian, they can stay, he never really got pinned for it, whatever, come back to it later.
Right, and you could still revisit a Cage Austin match if you really want.
Because I kind of feel like they haven't mentioned this youngest world champion thing that Austin's been saying, so I feel like maybe they need to pay off on that at some point, right? Yeah. I'm hoping anyways. So then we get the 3-on-1 match, which is Taylor Wilde taking on all of Tennille, Caleb with a K,
Influence,
and Madison Rayne. That is correct. Wilde jumps on all three of them before they get in the ring, as the heels are using, I think, what looks like a Polaroid camera and sort of waiting for the picture to develop.
Polaroid.
So they're, the ones that spit the picture out.
Yeah, but why are they using that? I thought the social
just to
media.
be funny, I guess. So they're all huddled around watching it sort of develop, and then she jumps on them.
Oh.
So that was that. So Wilde is then alone facing Caleb at first, and of course Caleb can't get any offense in. I'll talk about it. It's one of my growing frustrations in Impact.
Pet peeves.
The women then double team Taylor Wilde, with Caleb grabbing Wilde's ankle as she sort of gains momentum. That's about as much offense as he's going to hit on her, as grabbing her ankle. Wilde takes over all three and DDTs Caleb. Wilde attempts to pin Madison Rayne, but Tenille hits her spotlight kick as she's going for the pinfall, and she pins Taylor Wilde. They continue the beatdown of Wilde until Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering run down to make the save. I thought this match was nothing really. And I'm going to say it again. Impact needs to stop putting men and women in the same match if the men are never allowed to actually get any offense. Right, if it's
something like Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan, then that's like, because that was actual stuff.
Yeah, and if you do it once in a while, sure. But they're doing it almost every week. They had a whole tournament based on it, and it's starting to look ridiculous, right? Looks like we're getting a program with Tenille and Rayne against Grace and Ellering in the tag team division, and I think that's a fine place to go with that. Gia is then with Brandy Lauren, or as they're saying now, Brandy Lauren, and she asks about how Deonna will do against Melina since Lauren faced Melina last week. As Lauren starts to speak, the lights go all kind of strange. Su Young's face takes over the monitors that are set up behind them, and Gia looks good trying to panic and basically saying that they need to get out of there quickly. So Lee shows up, Kimberly that is, in the new Su Young sort of makeup and whatever, starts chasing Brandy Lauren, who opens a door as she's trying to escape, only to find Su Young right there.
Oh my god.
Lee then applies the mandible claw to Brandy Lauren to end the segment. So there's nothing supernatural yet, no magic. They just had control of the production truck, I guess, to get their images on the screens. So I thought this was fine. I don't know. They're very slowly reintroducing Su Young and Kimberly, and I'm okay with it so far.
And then they just need to reintroduce the bridesmaids, and everything will be good. And I will resume my mission next time they come to Canada.
By the way, since you're on your phone, did you see the text I sent you?
I did not. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, the crucifix powerbomb?
Me sending you a link to it being called Splash Mountain? Yeah, so I'm right. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, that's weird.
We then get a recap of Macklin's win at Emergence, then Macklin being hit with a destroyer as Petey came out to save TJP from Macklin's attack. Gia talks to TJP about it and says he already has a partner. Petey walks in and he just wants TJP to thank him for the save. TJP refuses, as he says he never asked for the help. Petey says you're welcome anyway, and then they just sort of agree to stay out of each other's way. I thought this was good. TJP was more believable speaking here than most times I hear him. I'm not too sure where it's heading, but I have a guess that they're probably not going to stay out of each other's way, right? I would
hope
think.
He's in...
And they would have good matches, so...
I hope so. I know TJP was TJ Perkins, so I hope it stands for Timmy, Jonathan, Pedro.
Maybe.
Pedro? How would you say Pedro?
Pedro.
I thought it's Pedro. Or Pedro.
Don't you remember from Napoleon Dynamite? Vote for Pedro?
Oh, I guess,
right?
Yeah. So, yes, Timothy Jonathan Pedro.
Matt Cardona speaks and says he gained some respect for Rohit at Emergence. You better respect Rohit. Rohit is fantastic. I'm like the chairman of the Rohit fan club, I think. Matt Cardona is mad at Rohit and Shera, and he'll take them both on.
Wow.
My God, why is it I was opening my mouth to call her Rachel Green again? And I know, listening back to my own Ring of Honor, I called her Rachel Green and didn't even catch it because you weren't there to correct me. So, yeah, anyways.
Hey, you caught yourself. Good
it's
for you.
Chelsea Green. She says that Cardona is never alone, and even if Shera won't hit a woman, she'll still smack him around. So she challenges them to a match next week. So again, and I'm not trying to sound mean, the only way I like this is if it leads to Shera hitting some devastating offense on Chelsea Green. But more likely, Green is going to barely be contacted by the heels, and Cardona and Green will win. So again, either commit to these mixed matches fully or just stop doing them, because it's making some of your stars look kind of ridiculous because they're not able to do anything to half of the people they're facing in the ring, right? So it's really, really annoying. We then get a Bound for Glory video featuring basically this idea that all kinds of wrestling companies are represented, right? Like I think Impact, New Japan, AAA, NWA maybe. Anyways,
Maybe.
a bunch
I
of
remember,
companies.
I remember seeing the ad at one of the pay-per-views. I think it was Slammiversary or whatever. And like there's
said
like a
ad.
logo spam. What?
You said ad like Star Wars.
No, I meant like an ad.
I know you did.
Like there's like the logo spam of like AEW, like basically all the affiliates.
Yeah, exactly. So Gia talks to Tasha Steelz and Savannah. I can't remember her.
Evans.
Thank you. It's killing me.
Well, how did I know that?
I don't know, because you have a memory and I apparently do not. So talks to Savannah Evans and Tasha Steelz about losing at Emergence, and Tasha blames Fallah Bahh. Fallah Bahh walks up. He
Hey, why are you blaming Fallah Bahh?
With No Way, and he asks what he can do to make it up to Tasha, and Tasha says nothing. Bahh suggests that he and No Way handle Crazy Steve and Black Taurus, while Tasha focuses her energies on Rosemary.
I highly doubt Fallah Bahh can handle Black Taurus.
Tasha seems to reluctantly agree, but she seems to have some doubts about that as well. And I thought this segment was fine. Fallah Bahh and No Way filled a comedy tag team role for Impact right now, I guess. And Hogan being gone means Tasha gets more attention as the face of her team, which is good for her, right?
Yeah.
So the main event, it is the Good Brothers facing Rich Swann and Willie Mack, and it is in fact a non-title match. Gee, I wonder if they're telegraphing anything, because Stryker went out of his way to mention non-title match, non-title match, non-title match. So what do you guess the finish is if he keeps saying that?
Disqualification.
Who's going to win?
The people who are not champions.
The people who can't win the belts out of it, right? We'll see. The smaller guys start out, so that'd be Anderson and Swann, and the faces double team Anderson briefly. Gallows then dominates Swann, obviously, with what I like to call his lazy big man offense. The Good Brothers isolate Mack in their corner. Swann counters the gun stun into a roll-up, and he pins Carl Anderson without getting into too many.
Oh my God,
shocking,
no way.
Right? The Good Brothers then beat on Swann after the match. Willie Mack makes the save. Kind of saves Swann from a magic killer, but the Good Brother end up in control again. They get a chair that Gallows puts between the ropes in the corner. They run Swann into it and hit a magic killer on Mack, because Good Brothers can't possibly look weak, right? So
right, and they can't not hit a magic killer, right?
So Good Brothers go get a table, set it up on the floor. Gallows struggles a little bit before power bombing Willie Mack through it. So I thought the match was fine, but it was really the Good Brothers in control for the vast majority before the surprise roll-up by Swann. Then we get the AEW-style post-match beatdown, just missing like another 8 or 9 people running down. So, of course, the Good Brothers lose, but it's non-title, because they're not going to lose ever if it's for the title, I don't think. But they get to dominate the match, and then they get to take out everyone after the match really easily afterwards. So that sounds about right. The Good Brothers feel like they basically booked themselves. Drives me crazy. We're back to that again. Stryker, again, I think sort of telegraphed the result of this by pointing out that it was non-title so many times throughout. So, yeah, I don't know. It was fine, I guess. Overall thoughts, I mostly enjoyed this episode of Impact. I thought the first hour was specifically pretty strong, with the opening Sami Zayn, the Bay Finlay match, I thought were good. The Wild Handicap match and the main event were just okay, and those were the only matches on this show, which I don't know. It feels light to me, like 4 matches in 2 hours. I feel like there's usually more than that, but who knows. It was a lot of promos and backstage stuff on this show, sort of clarified angles and feuds. I don't think any of them were bad, but there was nothing that was really must-see. So I thought it was a pretty quick watch this week, especially the first hour. I would say it's like that solid B show. To be honest, it's the highest grade I gave anything this week, right? But again, it's hard because I'm not saying that this episode of Impact was better than the episode of Dynamite, but rather the B relates to how Impact compares to itself, right? Other episode of its own show. So I would still say Dynamite's the stronger show this week, but relative to what I usually get out of Dynamite, if that makes any sense to people. Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is
comparing it to its own product.
Right, the criteria is different for each show. So I thought this was a B-level show this week.
So this morning, just before I go into my rewind match, yes. I put on the TV and I turned on the network channels.
As you tend to do. Every time I turn on the TV, the network is on, basically. Yeah.
And NXT UK was on. It was Joe Coffey and Rampage Brown. And I noticed something kind of interesting.
What?
They had the New Japan style turnbuckles. You know, like where the rectangle covers all 3. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't like them because they look kind of weird, but I also kind of like that because it's just different for them.
It is, yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Rampage Brown has grown on me a little bit, too. Yeah. He had a pretty strong
Coffee
match.
Was kind of cool.
Yeah, Coffee I don't mind either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just noticed that. And the Pro Wrestling Rewind match for this week, is Sheamus
Number
versus
876. You could just make up numbers since we stopped numbering them.
Number 5054.
Wow, nice commitment.
Yes. Sheamus versus Damien Sandow in a Dublin street fight from a SmackDown episode on June 28th, 2013.
Right. So I don't remember what was happening leading up to this, but I will say that Damien Sandow for a while was one of the more entertaining things they had, and I was really surprised when they let him go or he left or whatever the circumstances, because he actually, maybe I shouldn't be, because he got himself over, right, being Miz's stunt double, like to the point where he was preferred to Miz. Like people just wanted to watch. He was captivating watching him, honestly. And I think that was Vince, like, you got yourself over, that's it for you, because he's got the size of a WWE guy. He can work well enough. I mean, he's not Kurt Angle, but he's good, right? So he's
not Shotzi Blackheart.
He can cut amazing promo. So I thought he was a guy that would fit in. Although to be fair, since he's left, I haven't loved much of what he's done. Like he's fine in NWA, but he's not. Sandow character was amazing for him. This like I'm smarter than you, you're welcome when he ended all of his
MJF.
Things. He was great.
Like
yeah,
kind of like I'm better than you.
It was more like
it.
It was more like a Genius 2.0 and better, I thought.
Oh, the guy with Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, Randy Orton's brother.
Yeah.
Poffo. Leapin' Lanny Poffo. I'm old enough that I remember seeing Leapin' Lanny Poffo as a jobber in WWE. But anyways.
Leapin'.
Talk about this Dublin street fight with the most... So first of all, let me ask you, what are the most stereotypical things? Like Vince McMahon, it's an Irish-themed match, so what could we have around the ring?
Green, obviously.
Green, bar stool.
And kendo sticks were green.
Oh, were they? I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Being colorblind, I didn't see that.
And
so the color green,
drunk.
The Irish flag was displayed at ringside, and then they had, what did they call them?
Taps.
Basically beer taps with kegs. So beer, green, and the flag.
And
That's
potatoes?
what we know. Oh, and potatoes. Yes. So either Vince has no concept of anything Irish beyond the stereotypical, or he doesn't think the fans do, which I think is more likely.
I think it could be both.
I don't think he has. Yeah, you're right. Why can't it be both? I don't think he has a ton of respect for the fans.
No,
and he's
he
like,
doesn't.
They're not going to get anything else. Potatoes and beer. Let's go. So,
Right.
anyways, yeah. So, and Sheamus
Basically,
babyface was a bit
patches.
interesting to see. Haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, he was babyface in like the early 2010s.
Yep. So two, big WWE guys having a street fight. So what did you think? Let's talk about it.
Wait,
We'll
Sandow's big?
He's tall, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess like it's like one of those things where WWE people are big, so you never know.
That's
Kinda
like when you
Cardona.
see Billy Gunn now, or Cardona, and you're like, they are monstrously huge,
Yes.
but not in WWE.
So notables: Sandow hits Sheamus with the green kendo stick and clotheslines him out of the ring. Sheamus stands Sandow in the barricade. Sheamus doesn't like the 10 beats of the Bodhrán on one of the beer taps. And then on the other side of the ring, Sandow sends Sheamus into one of the other beer taps, which tips over. Sheamus takes the keg out and throws it at Sandow. And he pulls out a sack of potatoes.
Of course he does.
Hits Sandow with it, and then
It
dumps
did
out
make
the
me
potatoes on
laugh.
him.
As stereotypical as it is, it did make me
Yeah.
chuckle.
Sandow hits Sheamus with the stool. Sheamus hits Sandow in the face with the stool in the ring, followed by an Irish curse backbreaker for 2. The stool is green.
He is 6'4", 250, basically.
Who?
Sandow. Really
nice.
big.
Sheamus hits a bit of a comeback flurry, but Sandow avoids the white noise, which is the air raid crash. Fireman's carry rolling the senton on the outside, and a diving shoulder tackle back in the ring for 2 by Sheamus. Sandow hits a drop toe hold onto an upside down seated chair.
That looked cool.
And a neck breaker for 2. Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Because that's super dangerous, right? Like, you miss that by like an inch or two one way, you're stabbing your face with the leg of a chair.
Right.
Which they tried to say he did, but he didn't. But anyways,
Yeah.
it still looked good.
Sandow beats on Sheamus with a kendo stick. Sheamus throws a chair at Sandow and retaliates with some kendo stick beating of his own. And in probably one of the most main roster finishes of all time, Sheamus hits a bro kick while Sandow's seated on the 2 steel chairs for the win.
Right.
I thought it was a solid main roster TV match.
It was an opener on SmackDown.
Yeah, it was an opener. Yeah, sorry, I meant like main roster.
Right.
There were some cool spots and some good plunder. It didn't bore me or anything. It was kind of interesting, and
They started it right away, like immediately.
Right. It started right away, right? I did like the incorporation of things like the keg and the potatoes. As yes, it's stereotypical, but it at least differentiates itself from other street fights.
Right.
Kind of like the trick or street fight for Halloween
Yep.
that they used to do, which I want them to bring back because I would like to see someone get DDT'd in a pumpkin. But
wouldn't we all?
yeah, because like Cesaro got dirty deeds in a pumpkin once.
Right.
dirty deeds. Is that a verb?
Sure.
I guess.
Not? Could be now.
Yeah. I put it out into the universe.
You did.
While not the best match or anything, I thought it was pretty good and breezy 10 minutes. So I'll give it a B+ because it was pretty good.
Breezy 10 minutes is a very accurate statement, I think. So yeah, I mean, this match started like fast right away with basically like a kendo stick to Sheamus's face. It looked like, right?
And it was like an ideal time limit too, right? No. Or time length, I mean.
And at this time, Sandow wasn't exactly a guy you'd expect to see in a street fight, I don't think, but I thought he did a good job.
Yep.
Most of the standard stuff.
This was like just before his Money in the Bank win.
Yeah, mostly standard stuff in this match. No blood, obviously, but they executed everything really well, and there was no lulls, like you said. It was a quick 10 minutes. The stereotypical Irish stuff is definitely kind of lame, but I have to admit I laughed at the potato bit.
Yeah, and it's at least like, then it kind of like saves this from being just your average street fight, right?
And so I don't think anyone expects anything different from WWE anyways.
Right.
Because anytime they go to England, it's all like tea and...
Or like... And they always have to have a giant flag.
Yep, and the cabs they had and stuff. Anyways,
oh yeah.
This was a short match, but these guys got a lot of stuff in for a TV match. Nothing really crazy or memorable. I like the drop toe hold onto the upside down chair. I thought was really kind of unique. The finish came really quickly, to be honest. But I thought it was a fun match, like a mini Extreme Rules sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah.
That showed
with an Irish flavor.
Yeah, that showed a side of Sandow that I don't think had been showcased before. So I thought a fun little match and a grade of a B for me. Yeah. All right. So it wraps up our Any Other Wrestling business, right? And we're going to move into the final segment where Jack's got an update from the world of wrestling action figures, and that is Figuring It Out with Jack.
Alright, I'm gonna pull up my images.
I will. You sent them to me, so I'll look it up too.
And then also so I sent you the images for the top picks
because
you couldn't view those, and then the rest of them you can watch.
On the website I had open.
Yes.
What is that website? Instagram? I've heard of it.
Instagram. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So first off, we got the Elite Top Talent series. The images revealed. This is some new packaging. If you want to look at this, go check out on Ringside's Instagram. Another plug for Ringside. You're welcome. It looks nice. It's more red and blue. These are the ones I sent you.
Yep.
And do you see it?
Yep.
And so and so you can see they're kind of more like red and blue, and so it's more like it shows less. There's the big W logo. I think they look nice. It's always nice to get a bit of a change of scenery, so to speak, every now and then. And so I like that. And so this series, we're going to be getting Roman Reigns from Hell in a Cell 2020. If you want to see the figure, it's the same as the Elite 88 one.
Mm-hmm.
That's on on your computer. It's for people who don't know, it's the gold gauntlet look, basically. He's got double jointed elbows, which is a nice surprise. I think that looks really good. It allows for some better functionality. He's got the updated back tattoo, which I think that's really important.
You have been wanting that for quite a while.
A lot of people have been wanting that. I think it looks really good.
Obviously, if you want it as realistic as possible, right?
It's the gold gauntlet. He's got the head of the tablecloth shirt, which I think is his more iconic shirt compared to like the Wreck Everyone and Leave that you get with the Elite 84.
Side note: the gold gauntlet in real life is stupid.
But I think this looks really good. It's got
just try harder to tap into like a Marvel trope, right? Like,
no, I don't even think. Well, I guess and then he's got the easy. I didn't even think of that, but I guess and then he could put Infinity Stones on it.
Yeah.
If you want to. He's got interchangeable fisted and then like the kind of wide grip kind of choke slam hands.
Yep.
Right. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I really like this though. I think it looks good. So next we got Jeff Hardy, which I think looks really nice as well. He's got this look where it's like teal sleeves basically. And he's got some double jointed elbows, which it's pretty nice. This is one I sent you on your phone, I'm pretty sure. I have
it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, and so I like this. I think the face paint's really nice with the blue and yellow. It's one of the more current face paints.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the hair shaved on the sides right here. And so kind of a fade. That looks cool. And so he comes with like one of those flip over kind of shirts.
Like it's where they cut the like bottom off the t-shirt.
Cut out the sides
so
completely.
It's more like a front and back cape.
It's just like,
I don't know how
yeah.
Right?
It's hard to explain, but if you know, you know.
Yeah.
He also has like the towel to put in his butt, kinda.
Yeah.
That sounds weird.
Like the way Mysterio's had his shirts forever, I think, right?
Even the Rey Mysterio I'm talking about, he'll have one of those as well. He has his signature pose hands. I like this. And like with the double jointed elbows, it allows him to do the pose much better. So that's really nice. And then the Goldberg we get from WrestleMania 36. It comes with the blue Universal title, interchangeable hands. It's the exact same. It's a re-release of the WrestleMania 37 Elite. So if you already have this, you already have it.
And it's like older Goldberg. He actually has like a gray
Yeah,
goatee
it's
and the
current
chest
Goldberg,
hair
yes.
and the it looks
So
like
I think
him.
the Roman is perfect. It's his current gear. It's his updated tattoo. You get a more iconic shirt. You get the new double jointed elbows, which I didn't expect, but that's like it's nicer to have. And so I think it's really good. I'm definitely gonna pick it up. I'm probably gonna pick up the Elite 88 version because it's the same figure. Just that one also comes with a Universal title that I don't have yet. I think the Jeff's really cool. It's a nice face paint look, which I always like. Plus, it gets the new double jointed elbows, which makes it a step up from the other ones.
Sure.
And I have nothing to say about the Goldbergs. It's a straight re-release.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like to go to your computer now, we will take a look at. Next, we have images for Elite 88.
Yep. Got it.
If y'all want to kind of, I don't know, play along, if that is the right
Follow
word.
along?
Follow along, yes. Go to Ringside's Instagram once again. So we have Elite 88. We got we got to look at that now. Mock images, which is mint on cards, basically in the packaging, and then also loose images.
You should put a link in our Instagram to their Instagram so that people can.
Yeah, I should
right?
tag them. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
So this series will include Roman Reigns, the exact same figure we were literally just talking about. It's just this time it'll also come with the Blue Universal Championship. So I'm gonna probably get this because it's the same, just slightly better, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And these are also reverting back to the old packaging because the new packaging I was talking about in the top picks, that'll debut in Elite 89, which is the series after. Next we have Kushida, which he's in his white shorts look, which he had like when he debuted. So it's a bit of an outdated look, but this was in the works for a while. It was delayed a few series to this series. I think the scan looks really good. He comes with like a cloth jean shirt and the orange vest, kind of the Back to the Future inspired look that he has. He comes with his like silver glasses, almost like Bret Hart kind of had those, right? And he's got interchangeable hands as well. I think he looks pretty good. I think the scan looks accurate, and now that I like him more, I think it's better to get him. And he's got all like the necessary accessories, I think. Next we have MVP. He's in his like black and with a gold trim. It's like his return gear when he returned last year.
Right.
I think the scan looks spot on. It looks exactly like him. You get his chains and a couple of interchangeable hands. I think it looks exactly like him, like when he's wrestling. It's his wrestling gear, obviously, but you think he looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
Next we get Rey Mysterio, which is from Payback 2020. It's the when he had the eye patch.
Yes. The miraculous recovery from having his eye ripped out on TV, right, on national TV.
He comes with one of those cape shirts, this time a black one with like one of his t-shirt graphics on there. I like getting those. I do have Rey Mysterio where he comes with one of those. I think they look nice for an entrance gear. And this is one of the gears where he has the singlet on, so that's kind of new.
Mm-hmm.
It looks good. I just don't like having the eye patch because it's very like it symbolizes that gimmick.
Yeah.
Which like if you're not doing that and you use this Rey Mysterio, it's kind of a disconnect in my opinion. We also have a Matt Riddle in the orange and black trunks. I think that's a nice gear.
I don't know. The box just says Riddle on it. I don't know who this Matt Riddle is, but
I guess so. Yeah, and so he comes with a blue cloth shirt with the Stallion Battalion red and white logo. Same logo on a blue cap as well.
He's got the hang loose hands going.
Yep,
the
hang
surfer
loose
hands.
The open mic hands, which are good for holding weapons and whatnot. They call them the mic hands because those are the ones to hold mics and stuff.
Makes sense.
Black slides. And so the scan, and then there's the one picture where I showed you where he isn't wearing the hat. I think it looks kind of weird, but then when he's wearing the hat, it looks a little better. So it's an iffy scan, but it's okay, I guess. And speaking of iffy scans, our last one is Trish Stratus in the black and pink. This is like her, for reference, it's when she was managing Tess and Albert, aka TNA.
Right.
She comes with a pink cowboy hat and a black cloth goods jacket, and the scan just looks awful. It just looks off.
It does not look like her very much. It looks like they like borrowed a Barbie head or something
and then
from
tried
somewhere.
to make it look somewhat like her.
Right.
And then she's also the Chase variant, getting what they call a Canadian attire. I believe it's her gear from WrestleMania 18, which I think was against someone in Jazz. I want to say Lita because that just makes sense, but
it's always Lita.
Yeah. She comes with the same accessories. She comes with the black cloth goods, and then they changed the color of the hat to be red and white, which I find that kind of odd because the accessories for the Chase variant are inaccurate because it's not a TNA Trish Stratus, but because when they do the Chase variants, it's just a different attire. They tend to give the same accessories. It's not like AEW where they actually give appropriate accessories. So, but I like the series in general. I like the Roman, the Kushida, and the MVP, and the Riddle. And the Rey Mysterio is fine, but I probably won't get it for the eye patch.
Yeah.
And then the Jeff Hardy and the other suits is nice, but so nothing much, but we got some cool stuff.
Yeah, nice.
I really want the Roman. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there was something cool when I was watching the one review, is that even though it doesn't come with the man bun sculpt that the Elite 84 one came, you can actually take the head off of that one, even though, like, it doesn't come with any other heads.
Yeah.
So, like, if you want to put the man bun sculpt on that one, you can. And so I'm really hoping that's kind of a step forward for them, because they're making a lot of changes. Like, they're integrating the double jointed elbows, right?
Right.
And so the AEW figures, you can take off the heads willy-nilly whenever you want, right? So
yep.
I'm wondering if this is... I hope this is, like, them making that step forward to kind of, not necessarily compete with them, but to be kind of even with them. I think that'd be really helpful, because then you don't always have to heat them up and go through this long process.
It's a bit of a process to head swap.
Right, the only time you don't have to do that is Ultimate Editions or Elites, where they specifically come with a head to swap.
Right.
But yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of episode 58. Haven't asked you yet. Do you think we'll do a all-out preview show this week? Should people be looking out for that? We could probably sit down.
We should try to. Or since it's only one show, we could probably loop it in with any other wrestling business. If we have school, so if we have time, we'll do it. But we'll preview it at some point for sure.
Yep, I will more than likely be back on Monday with my regular Ring of Honor. I think it's episode 519. So perhaps a preview episode. If not, we'll definitely be back here.
And we'll definitely review it too.
Yeah, we'll definitely review all out for sure. We'll definitely be back here on next Saturday for episode 59. So we hope to see you all back here for that. And until then, take care.